The story of a manga artist who was imprisoned by a strange Yandere girl. Volume 1. By Kitada Ryuma and Hozumi Moguri. Translated by Sound Destiny at Travis Translations. Audiobook by Masquerade at Masquerade Audiobooks. Prologue. When I awoke, there was an unfamiliar ceiling above me. Where am I? My head hurts so bad. My throat is throbbing. I'm feeling exhausted. It's dark. Even a faint flicker of light from an electrical appliance, much like the moonlight flowing through the curtains, is out of my sight. What time is it? That's right. Phone, where's my phone? I reach out while laying on my back, looking for a light source and information. However, it just grasped at the air with no response at all. I had no choice but to raise my heavy body. Ack. It took me by surprise. I was suffocating, as if I had been stabbed in my throat. Sure, my tonsils look swollen, but this is a different kind of discomfort. I felt a chilly metallic roughness on my neck when I ran my hands down it. Is this a collar and chain? A donut-shaped choker around my neck. The chain was connected to the back of the choker's neck and stretched further out to somewhere else. I'm chained up. So that means I'm being held captive. I got goosebumps the moment I realized this. And this chill is most likely not caused by my health condition. Stay calm. Stay calm. Take a deep breath, and wait for your eyes to adjust to the darkness. A rectangular silhouette vaguely emerges in the bleak room. A box. I crawled closer to the box, taking care of the length of the chain. Fortunately, it appeared to be in the other direction of the chain's end, and I was able to reach it without any difficulty. Paper with a texture that is somewhere between smooth and gritty. The box looks like cardboard. There's something on top of the cardboard. A thin, flat board with a smooth texture. Right next to it was a shorter stick that fit 3 fingers in comfortably. It was an object that, no matter how dimly I saw it, I couldn't have mistaken it for anything else. LCD tablet. Now I can call for help. The LCD tablet, or liquid tab, is a familiar tool. I don't need to look to locate the power supply. The startup sound was awfully loud. The screen lights up. It's not connected to the internet. It was now 23:17, according to the time displayed on the screen's edge. The only application that was installed was illustration software. This is, indeed, my tablet. But how did it get here? Rustle. I was about to recall something when I heard a noise from outside the room. Creaky. The door opens as soon as I turn around. The lights in the room are turned on. I closed my eyes reflexively to shield my eyes from the blinding light. When I opened my eyes again, there was a high school girl standing in front of me. I identified her as a high school student because she was dressed in a school uniform. If it was just the uniform, she could be a junior high school girl, but there is no such line in terms of physical development. She glances up at me as I watch her from below. Barefoot. The bottoms are short skirts. As for top, it's a blazer and a shirt. Her shirt was unbuttoned up to the second button, exposing her collarbone. A black mask for the mouth and fingernails. She has a small face, and her eyes full of life. Her hair was black and long enough to reach her waist. Because of the mask, it's difficult to say for sure, yet she's so attractive that the atmosphere tells you she's a beautiful girl. So far, so good. It can be summed up in a single sentence. Very modern high school girl. She did, however, have something in her right hand that was obviously out of place for a high school girl. A kitchen knife. It is a typical all-purpose knife found in most houses. Of course, a high school girl can have a knife. If it's a kitchen, you can count on a home-cooked meal made with love, and so on. But it's a different story when the knife is right under my nose. And fortunately or unfortunately, I had seen her before. Yes. I'm pretty sure I've met her before. As I gazed at her, I began to recall events from my memories. Section. I was in a slump. The work I was serializing at the time had been completed, and I needed to begin preparing for a new work. However, the project's editor asked me to write a romantic comedy project, which I was not used to, because it was a selling point, and I couldn't think of any good ideas. To escape reality, I spent my days drinking and smoking, and to top it all off, I was so stressed that I required sleeping pills to sleep. Of course, in such a state of mind, it was impossible to come up with a good idea. I'm pretty sure that's when I saw her. I remember now. That was when I went to a bookstore to buy a manga book to use as a reference for my new project. To be honest, it was also difficult for me to watch all of my peers' active manga on the market. But I managed to endure it because the manga I went to buy was one that was selling so well that it was stupid to be jealous. The manga I bought for work can be an expense. I need a receipt for this, however my name is rather complicated when written and difficult for others to grasp just by saying it. So I leaned over the checkout counter and wrote it myself. And that's when I realized I'd dropped my phone. No, it appears that I dropped it. Normally, I would think that if I dropped my phone, I would notice it by the sound, but at that moment I had no idea. After all, I was always wearing earphones, rejecting the outside world, and even during the day, I was in a daze and lacked normal judgment. Even in this situation, I can afford to receive a receipt, which I find selfish. However, if you've been self-employed for a long time, receiving receipts for your purchases becomes a habit that you almost instinctively follow. Anyway, I dropped my phone and left the store without realizing it. So she, who was in line behind me at the time, picked up my phone and ran after me to hand it to me. I was grateful for the kindness of the casual observer who had run so hard for me. The image of her breathing on my shoulder at that moment is burned into my mind. She was somehow different from the average high school girl. High school girls are the strongest. As a living organism, the body is at its peak, and as a human being, this is the last time we are allowed to dream endlessly. The energy of life that pervades them even brings a sense of spirituality, and they just laugh, frolic, and exude an unbridled energy to their surroundings. She, on the other hand, was the polar opposite. She was beautiful, but her physique was not strong. I don't feel like I have any mental space to ground it myself. Weak and feeble, as if she would fly away if the wind blew. She gave off the impression of being somewhat fragile and deviating from reality. If I were to define her in one word, it would be a cliché, unworldly. At that time, what did we talk about? I don't really remember all the details. I probably said I'm sorry or thank you out of reflex, but if we did, it would have been a very short conversation, 2 or 3 words at most. In any case, that's the only thing that connects me to her. But of course, having a high school girl pick up my phone didn't change my life in the end. I still couldn't give up drinking, I smoked more cigarettes, and my name kept getting rejected. What did I do after that? That's right. I was so drunk that I decided to move out. Even with the help of all kinds of legal drugs, I finally couldn't come up with any ideas, and I began to think about moving out. I wanted to escape from everything. I should have run away to Hokkaido, Okinawa, or even overseas, but I didn't. The poor side of me came out, wanting to stifle the price of moving. As a result, I decided to look for one in the vicinity. I made the decision to move to a new place without considering the consequences. It was difficult to find the movers, in part because it coincided with the hectic spring moving season. With no time to spare before I had to move out of my room, I decided to throw away all of my household goods. They were being so stingy with the moving costs and throwing away the home items, which seemed contradictory, but I was so furious that I didn't care. I'm not a religious person, but I was in the mood to declutter everything and get rid of evil. The only exception to this was the LCD tablet. I couldn't get rid of this one. All of the other home appliances were cheap, but the LCD tablet was an expensive piece of equipment, costing more than 200,000 yen. Besides, the LCD tablet had become more of a part of me than an object, so throwing it was out of the question. It was a miserable separation, but the positives soon became a reality. For the first time in a long time, I was able to have a face-to-face meeting with my editor. I was happy to see that lately I've been using email exclusively for name exchanges, and even meetings over online calls have disappeared. I was glad that they hadn't given up on me yet. I left the room in high spirits and went to see the editor in charge. Maybe it'll work this time. I had such a premonition. Well, as it turns out, that premonition was just a misunderstanding. I was aware that the name had been rejected. The editor in charge of my work expressed concern about me since I kept sending him names with incoherent contents and requested to meet with me in person. We live in a time when we're afraid to meet people. The meeting was over in less than 30 minutes. I'll never forget the look in the eyes of the editor in charge who said, "Don't worry about the deadline for your name, so don't put too much root in it." That look of care and compassion was half of what you see when you look at a sick person. At least, it wasn't the way he looked at a mangaka with a promising future. I left the publisher early. I felt awful when I left. I was no longer confident that manga artist was the first thing that sprang to mind when describing who I am. I had a feeling that unemployed, self-proclaimed mangaka, or psycho would be more appropriate. Sickness begins with the mind, as the saying goes. My body began to weaken as though in response to my depressed mood. I barely noticed a slight cold during the train ride. But, as soon as I stepped off the train at the next station, my health began to worsen dramatically. I experienced heart palpitations by the time I left the ticket gate, and by the time I crossed the intersection, I had a headache and nausea. A severe sensation of exhaustion began to take over my body while I was just 100 meters away from home. I made it to the entrance of my new house while hobbling and clinging to the railings. Then I slipped my hand in my pocket and tried to get my keys out of my wallet, and that's where the memory went blank. Confinement, day 1. That means that. That's right. This is my room. I've only recently moved in, so it's no surprise that the ceiling is unfamiliar to me. 1DK with its own bathroom and toilet. It's undoubtedly the place I rented. I knew I was nuts for not noticing this right away. This is not a normal state of mind. I passed out in front of the doorway. She, who lives nearby, came upon it and helped me. That's what it is if I think about it calmly. I return my gaze to the LCD tab. If I'm not mistaken, it's been 2 days since I collapsed. Did you look after me? The girl was deafeningly silent. She was just gazing at me, holding a knife. It's insane when I think about it. If she just wants to help me, she can call an ambulance. Why could she do such a thing to me? What in the world am I worth? Hey, you. A girl approached me as I tried to ask more questions. Wait a second. The girl lifts her knife with no time to stop her. I instinctively closed my eyes. Ah. It doesn't hurt. Just a cool sensation on my brow. I opened my eyes with trepidation. The girl's slender arm was whiter than her shirt. The belly of the knife was apparently placed on my brow. My body tensed up. I lost my voice. My lips were frozen altogether, as if they were glued together. As though the world had come to an end, silence fell. The only inkling that time had flown was the chilly sweat trickling down my neck. She then puts the belly of the knife on her own forehead in a deliberate, ritualistic gesture. What do you want? I don't get it. I don't feel like asking the girl directly. For me, not wanting to provoke her, words were now equivalent to explosives that I had to be careful with. I will not open my mouth carelessly. I watched her closely. The girl walked out of the room backwards, like a moonwalker. In relief, I relaxed my shoulders. But my relief was short-lived. The girl returned to the room, carrying a new weapon in her left hand besides the knife in her right. Hewn, hewn, hewn. The true nature of the light, windswept sound was stockings. However, within it was crammed an item roughly the size of a ragged, diced steak. It is a bludgeoning weapon commonly known as a sap or blackjack. By using centrifugal force, even an ineffective woman can achieve sufficient striking force. No sound, little bloodshed. It was truly the perfect tool for murder. Didonti, come here. I opened my hands and extended them in front of her. Of course, there was no way anyone would stop at such a deterrent move. The girl kicked me in the chest whilst holding a knife menacingly in her hand. I'm compelled to roll onto my back. Why should a person I've barely met once do something like this to me? Fear reaches a tipping point, transforming into rage and reopening. Ah, right. Good, then. If you're going to murder me, do it. I've already tossed away my manga. I have nothing left. I stretched my arms and legs and perched on my haunches. Pressure on the stomach. The horseback girl presses her pin-tight stockings on my neck. I closed my eyes once again. My neck tightens up. Apparently, the most common method of suicide is hanging. Strangulation is probably a better way to die than stabbing and killing. I felt like if I could just get comfortable with this, it wouldn't be so bad. It's cold. I jumped up. My neck was wrapped in a stocking. The contents seemed to be a block of ice. The girl was gone from the room before I knew it. So she's not gonna kill me? I don't understand. Oh, no. My body and mind are in chaos, and I can't think straight. I'm getting sleepy again. But even with my current limited thinking abilities, there are certain things I can figure out. A high school girl has locked me up. That's all I know for sure. The tension caused by fear keeps you awake. However, this did not last long, as an overpowering physiological urge quickly overpowered the eyelids. Confinement, Day 2. I woke up. I'm still not feeling well, but I'm feeling better than I did yesterday. The stockings wrapped around my neck were gone. It's likely the girl took it with her. Nonetheless, I ended up spending the whole morning yesterday unable to communicate with her. What do I do? Common sense dictates that being locked up is dangerous. Calm down. First, let's take a moment to focus on the situation I'm in. I took another glance around the room. I couldn't find anything in the room except a cardboard box, an LCD tab on top of it, and the cracker futon I was sleeping on, as I had suspected. The chain was tied to the choker around my neck, and the other end was fastened and fixed to a hook mounted in the wall. I couldn't see outside since the shutters were closed. I crept up to the window, mindful about the length of the chain. It's no good. I knew it, but I couldn't even reach my fingers out the window, much alone step outside. The chain has to be about 3 or 4 times longer to reach the window. Even if my fingers reached the window, the inner lock was solidly sealed with something transparent that looked like glue, and because I was chained to it anyhow, there was no way for me to escape. Still no luck. Should I attempt shouting for help? That way, perhaps a neighbor or bystander will notice the anomaly. But, even if they did notice me, it would be faster for her to stab me than for the cops or neighbors to come rushing. It reminds me of the dull, rough knife she was holding in her white fish-like fingers. Still, I had to find a way out. That's what a normal person would think. I suppose I should consider it. But, even if I could get out, what difference would it make? In any case, there's nowhere I can go. I'm hardly motivated to seek or gather stuff for the manga. Then it doesn't really matter if I'm chained. Thinking about it makes me lose the urge to escape at once. Tap tap tap. She's coming. Footsteps echoing. I made my way back to the cracker futon and sat down. Clack. The door opens. The girl remained silent as usual. In her right hand, she was holding a kitchen knife. Her left hand and chest held a rectangular silver tray she was holding. There was also a random portion of yogurt, jelly, and some type of supplement that I couldn't figure out. There was also a spoon hooked. The girl places the tray on the floor a short distance away from me. She then slid the tray across the floor with a swish, bringing it close to me with her bare feet. Is this supposed to be my meal? Right now, I don't have much of an appetite. Just eat it. I was reluctant, and she replied in a subdued tone. Her voice sounded like a soothing piano. I understand. I took out the spoon. I wasn't in the mood to care whether any of these were laced with poison. In silence, the girl exits the room once more. I was thinking when I felt her gaze on me. She didn't blink as she stared at me through the doorway. I'm not sure she's concerned about whether or not I'm eating. For such a shattered and sick body, it could be exactly the perfect menu. I bring the item on the tray to my mouth quietly. It tastes just how you'd expect it to. It doesn't appear to be poisoned. Maybe this spoon is genuine silverware. The trays aren't the same as the ones that are commonly used to serve school meals. Unlike stainless steel, it has a softer feel. These items, of course, do not belong to me. I've thrown away everything my household owns, and I couldn't afford to buy such expensive dishes to begin with. That would imply that she had brought it from somewhere else. Who the hell is this girl? I finished my meal without hesitation, thinking about these questions. Her glance vanished at the same time. I become an idle person as the door closes tightly again. I lay there in a daze for the next few hours, looking at the ceiling, but I didn't hear a single sound from her. As expected, I became bored and glanced at the room, but I didn't find anything new. The only thing left was a cardboard box with an LCD tab perched on top, as if to say something. I couldn't bring myself to draw anything right now, no matter how much free time I had. I laid down and closed my eyes. I escaped into the realm of slumber, using my poor health as an excuse. Confinement, Day 3. I woke up. I couldn't tell if it was morning or night since the curtains were drawn. It was late evening, according to the time displayed on the LCD tab. Apparently, I've been sleeping for longer than I expected, despite the fact that it's just been a few hours. But, possibly as a result, I feel a lot better today than I did yesterday. However, my throat is still a little sore, and my body is also a little numb, so I can't claim I'm in prime shape. Knock knock knock. A knock sounded as if it was just in time. It was a one-of-a-kind rhythm that I had heard somewhere before. Ah, yes. I'm awake. I responded in such a clumsy manner. Clack. She reappears, carrying a silver tray. The tray's menu was the same as it had been the day before. And I, too, started eating mindlessly. But she didn't walk out of the room today. She leans against the wall, staring at me as I eat. Thanks for the meal. I eventually finished my meal and put the spoon on the tray. Did you make any drawings? She questioned abruptly, after a quick peek at the LCD tab. No, nothing. I shook my head. Why? I don't want to draw. I just don't know what to draw. I wonder whether it's because I've been rejected so many times. I'm afraid to draw. I know I'll lose my skills if I don't strive to imitate them, but even that is too much for me. I see. Well then. For a little moment, she inclined her head, as if pondering. Draw me. She said this matter-of-factly. She spoke as though it were her inherent right. Draw her. What a joke. My mouth escapes a laugh that is neither self-mockery nor dismay. What's so funny? The girl furrows her brow and flicks her knife at me. Nothing. I responded dejectedly. Then draw. With that said, she sticks out the kitchen knife in front of me. I understand. I will draw. I nodded reluctantly. I hate to draw, but it's not worth my life. That's what I told myself as I stared at the girl I was drawing. Her hair was more than just black. Her hair was darker at the roots, and there were slight brown undertones towards the ends. Each lash is somewhat variable in length. A mole on the neck. Or the hollow of her collarbone. Piercing position. Nail design. Beyond the signifier of a high school girl in uniform, the characteristics of her as an individual being stand out at you. Come to think of it, this is the first time I've ever sketched a real high school girl. It occurred to me. I've drawn a number of high school girls in manga. I've even used images of high school girls available on the internet as a source of reference. But I'd never had the opportunity to closely observe and draw the real thing. In that sense, it may be a valuable opportunity. I hate to be the one to tell what to do, but I don't have a choice. I push the tray against the wall and discreetly move the cardboard over in front of my body. I opened the LCD tab and took up the pen. Pose. It's fine. I answered the toss and took a bite. The girl began unbuttoning her shirt silently. Her cleavage was exposed, as is the edge of her bra. It has a light pink tone and is embroidered with exquisite floral design. It's nothing like my elderly mother's brassiere that was drying at my parents' house. Ahem. No, I told you it would be just fine. Why would you do that? I'd go in like that, but I can't take my gaze away from it. I mean, this is supposed to be the one I'm looking at, right? It's a drawing, right? Buzz marketing. She cocked her chin. Haha, this LCD tab isn't even connected to the internet, so what's the point of buzzing about it? A dry chuckle escaped. That misalignment made my worries subside a bit. I have no idea what she's thinking, girl. It's amusing. After all, it's bizarre. I can't believe I'm drawing the person who is holding me hostage and threatening me with a kitchen knife. The rational side of me cautioned me, but the pen continued to move on its own. I despised drawing, but once I started, I couldn't stop myself from finishing it. It was not a glorious thing to be considered a creative spirit. It was more of a physiological, curse-like sensation, like not being able to stop defecating in the middle of a bowel movement. Still better than constipation, right? Rather than dying as a manga artist's failure in a shitty mess, one could be better off twisting with the laxative of a girl's blackmail. I'm not in a position where I can confidently declare myself a manga artist right now. Can I be proud of being a creator if I can still feel this way? But what good is threatening a third-rate manga artist like me? Why don't you go to someone more successful if you're going to threaten them? Why me? I felt antipathy and interest in the girl. It's an enticing feeling, similar to what you get after eating food that adheres to your teeth. There were so many worries and questions, yet I continued moving my pen, thinking about this and that. Confinement, Day 4. Alas, I didn't finish drawing her by yesterday. I didn't plan to be that detailed at first, but as I kept drawing her, I ended up paying attention to every detail, which took a long time. That's why I continued to draw her today as well. The girl never gets tired of posing. I'm good since I'm working with my hands, but I'm worried that she'll just sit there and get bored. But she never complained, even though she didn't get anything at all. Eventually, about an hour after eating lunch, the regular jelly yogurt supplement meal, the drawing was finished. Finally, I put down my pen and stretched out my arms. On all fours, she reaches me. I averted my sight after catching a peek of her cleavage through the gap in her shirt. How is it? I tried to draw you like you said. I half-turned the LCD tab and turned it in her face. I drew it since it was something I had to do. But the fact that I had been staring at a high school girl for over half a day made me feel embarrassed, so I blamed her. If she gave me a poor evaluation, I wouldn't be able to look at her. I was anxious. I don't believe I did a poor job, but I wasn't sure how others would react to it. She fixed her gaze on the LCD tab. It was so short on time that I couldn't even make a cup of noodles. A few vexing minutes passed. Eventually, she looked at me and opened her mouth, and her first words were, "Take off your clothes." That was it. Why? The unexpected words surprised me. Is it possible that I offended her? Was the drawing not good enough? I knew that my work would never reach anyone's heart. But, even if I did, what would I do once I am naked? It's not going to be simple for me to take off my clothing if you want me to. I'm trapped on a chain, as you know. I pushed aside my internal conflict and voiced such an obvious concern. I see. Okay, then. The girl places the knife in her left hand and pulls the key from her blazer's breast pocket with her right. She reached for the collar with her other hand while holding the knife out to me. Now you can take it off, right? I easily removed the chains from me. Oh, okay. I removed the shirt I was wearing. On second thought, I had been wearing the same clothes for several days. The temperature was just ideal this time of year, halfway between spring and summer, so I shouldn't be sweating so much. But I have to add that it's a dirty dress to be wearing in front of a high school girl. The lower also. She demanded mercilessly. The lower. I obediently obeyed. First the jeans, and then the underwear. Nonetheless, in a desperate last-ditch attempt, I covered my crotch with my hands and defended it to the death. Come here. The girl turned to face me and began walking backwards. When I left the room, she got behind me. She pushed me into the bathroom. What? Are you planning to murder and dismember me in the bathroom? Such a dreadful sight flashed across my head. Go in. Ah, in the bathtub. Are you sure? The girl nodded. I was apparently overthinking things. I entered the bathroom and shut the door obediently. In the room, there was shampoo and body soap. My body was sticky, and my head was itching. But I was honestly grateful to be able to take a bath. I turn on the shower. I heard the sound of clothes rustling from the changing room at the same time. What? This is. The bathroom door squeaked open before I could gather my thoughts. The girl's image reflected in the bathroom mirror. Needless to say, unlike me, she wasn't entirely naked. She was dressed in a school swimsuit. Obviously, she's wearing a mask and holding a knife in her right hand. It's not the typical one-piece school swimsuit seen in mangas, but rather a separate type with a separate top and bottom. If you changed the gym uniform to a swimsuit material and chopped the sleeves off at the shoulders, it would be easy to understand. Somehow, I thought it was the time. That's an ant. School swimsuits in the past were probably more provocative, but the current style, with its wildness, is also nice since it underlines teenagers' simplicity. From the head. From the body. Maybe she's asking about the order of washing? I can wash it myself. It's okay. I'm not sure what to make of that, but she's dead set on washing me. Then, from the head. I answered slowly. I didn't want to get stabbed, and I didn't want to offend her and forfeit my right to bath. I see. Then, close your eyes. I did as told and closed my eyes. I heard a thud, like something being put down. Maybe it's the knife. The girl's fingers rubbed my scalp. Her hands seemed pretty awkward. Of course, the fact that she isn't as good as the professional barbers I attend to every day doesn't help. Especially still, she appears to be clumsy, even given the circumstances. Sometimes she puts too much pressure on it, which hurts, but I'm not complaining. Could this be a reward for my drawing? I think about that. If that's the case, then my drawing convinced her. If so, I'm honestly happy. The pleasant sensation of a hot shower, together with the shampoo, cleans the dirt from my head. I open my eyes again. Next is the body. Okay, so just the top half. I'll do the bottom myself. I insist in a firm voice. Even as a prisoner of war, there is a line that I wanted to protect. I see. She mumbled, a little dissatisfied for some reason. She eventually went out of the bathroom after I finished washing myself and soaking in the bathtub. I hear a huge motor noise coming from the changing room a little time later. Where? Is she washing my clothes? But, was there a washing machine? I tossed away the last one I had, so did she buy it? If that's the case, where's the money coming from? I thought and thought, but no answer came. I mean, come to think of it, this is the first time a girl outside of my family has seen me naked. That is a really unusual case. I can feel my cheeks turn red. I wondered if it was because I was sitting in the tub, if I was sick again, or... I repeatedly splashed the hot water on my face with both hands, as if to shake off the myriad imaginations that come and go. I got out of the bathtub when my body was warm enough. I opened the door after softly sweeping away the water. You're still here? The girl was standing silently, and I hurriedly covered my crotch with my hands. Quickly change your clothes. The girl tosses me the clothing that was in her arms. Oh, thank God. Wait, what the hell is this? When I received them and unfolded them, I was in awe. Bath towels, shirts, pants, and underwear, all with characters from my work printed on them. That's why, change into a bath towel. That's not what I meant. A manga artist who uses a skin-colored bath towel of his own heroine to clean his body, wears mascot patterned pants, and uses a t-shirt printed with the hero and pants of a rival character as sleepwear. I really hate it. It's very narcissistic. It should be the right size. The girl tilts her head. What about the other clothes? I'll take anything that doesn't have my character printed on it. There's no such thing here. The girl answered immediately. I see. She bit her back teeth and wiped herself with a bath towel. I was prepared for any physical abuse, but I didn't expect such a psychological humiliation. It was quite embarrassing, but it didn't matter because I had no other clothes. Yeah, damn it. It may be annoying, but it doesn't make much a difference to the function of the clothing. That's what I told myself as I hastily put on my clothes. Confinement, day 5. Today, too, I'm drawing that girl. Drawing her has become somewhat of a routine. All I have in this room is an LCD tablet, and it's the only way I can keep the girl pleased. I know that. But, is this the right thing to do? There was a vague sense of frustration. My editor assured me that I could submit my story at any moment, but I felt like I wanted to do something different. New furnishings. Now's good. I can't help but think now about things like taking out the trash or greeting neighbors. I need to change my license address, and did I remember to debit the water and power bills? After that. Right. Today's the day to transfer the rent. I slapped my knee. It's fine. I've transferred the money from our account. For a moment, the girl's eyes widened in shock, but she said nothing. Our account? This. The girl flips up the hem of her shirt. A black waist pouch was wrapped around her navel. It's the sort of thing you keep valuables in while traveling abroad. In a single motion, she pulled out 3 bank passbooks from there. All of them look familiar. Now I know where the money for the washing machine came from. That's right. Good. Well, ours, or rather, mine. No, it's not. Ours. I make sure I pay for mine. Rent and living expenses are split 50-50. The girl corrects me in a strong tone and turns over the passbook to show it to me. Sure enough, there was a deposit in the passbook that I didn't remember. If it was a royalty transfer from the publishing company, the company name should be printed, but it is not in the record of the payment. In other words, she must have used my passbook to deposit the money herself. That's quite a lot of money. At the very least, it is not an amount that can be paid out of a high school girl's allowance. Who in the world is she? Just when I thought one mystery was solved, another deepened. That's right. I mean, even if you did, how did you transfer the rent? You need a PIN to transfer rent, let alone deposit money. I almost let it go for a second, but then I thought of the obvious question. I can't believe that people exist today who use their birthday as their PIN. The girl sighs in exasperation as she flips through the passbook idly. Ulp. I patted my chest. And I hear that you proudly publish your date of birth on social networking sites. She stared at me like an animal trying to flee. So that's what you mean. I fell on the floor. My own carelessness disgusts me. With such governor security, it's no wonder she's been getting the rent transferred. But now I have no way to reset my PIN. If this happens, I'll reopen it. I was a little uncomfortable about her feeding me, but if she's going to take money out of my bank book, there's no reason for me to refuse her. She said she'd divide it 50-50ths, but the money isn't colored, so I'll just refund her deposit later. I need something. I opened my mouth with my will. What? Like cigarettes? No. She denied the request without hesitation. Then, alcohol? No. She denies again. Then, at least, gummies, chocolates. Whatever. I'm the type of guy who can't concentrate on my work if there's nothing in my mouth. I understand. She nodded reluctantly. She then placed her finger on the phone, which she had taken from her pocket. I wonder if they're on an online shopping site. Of course, since it's a personal item, I'll pay for everything. No, she said without looking away from her phone. She again denies. Well, but it definitely pays off to know that she's not holding me captive for money. If it's for money, then there's no need to keep me locked up as long as she has my passbook PIN number. I've heard a case in the news of a criminal who mind controls others and exploits them by forcing them to engage in slave-like labor, but seeing how she wants to break even so much, it seems unlikely that this is the case. But that does deepen the question of why are you locking me up, though? Ordered. The girl muttered and looked up from her phone. I see. I'm looking forward to it. I nod and smile. I did what you asked. The girl put her phone aside and sternly cut to the chase. Yes. So you owe it to yourself to do me a favor. Favor? I gulp and swallow my spit. What in the world does she want from me? The girl remained silent, and then she took off her high socks. The exposed bare feet made me nervous for a moment. It's nothing obscene or anything like that. No way, you're not going to tell me to lick your fingers. I jokingly said. It's a common development in M-rated manga, but I'm not in the mood for it. Are you an idiot? The girl pulls back her body a bit. No. But, it was a joke. So. Foot nails. The girl points to her own nails. Wait, you want me to draw nail art? Me? Yes. Your character. She nodded. Is nail art a price of candy? It is the same in the sense that it raises the tension. I see. But I've never painted nail art before. She reaches for the knife. Wait a minute. It's not that I don't like it or anything, it's just that I've never painted nail art before, so I was just a little hesitant. I can try, but don't get mad if I fail, okay? I'll nail you on that. I don't want to make a mistake on my first try at a new technique and get pissed off. No problem. It's a nail tip. Nail tip. Fake fingernail. The girl said this, walked out of the room once, and returned with a translucent acrylic box. It looks like the boxes I used to put mini 4x4 parts and stuff in. After a quick lecture from her, I sat on my haunches, bent over, and stared at her legs. The well-groomed nails shone like crystals. Then, a fake nail was attached on top of it. I picked up a paintbrush like the ones used for watercolors and started coloring with polish. The girl raises her knife above my head and watches me closely. It's as restless as an Argentinosaurus stepping on thin ice. I guess it would be easier to draw a deformed, low head than an elaborate one. Although humiliating, the process itself was surprisingly enjoyable. I think I understand a little bit why so many girls want to open nail salons. Without uttering a single word, I concentrated my nerves on my fingertips. Not even a scratch on her beautiful feet. Her ankles and fingers are so thin that they look as if they might break. Come to think of it, bare feet of a high school girl are pretty rare, aren't they? It is normal to see a transparent bra in the summer, and with the stream of high school girls wearing short skirts on the streets, it is not uncommon to glimpse their thighs. But you can't see bare feet unless you go to the ocean. When I think about it, it makes me feel a little strange. It smells. I couldn't stand the agony of being silent, so I muttered a few words. She pulls her leg. No, I mean, about not smelling like nail polish. Isn't it bad for the body to do nail art in a closed space? The girl suddenly kicked forward. The fake fingernail sticks into my forehead. Oh, I told you earlier that I can make mistakes. Another matter. The girl turned her head away in a huff and muttered. Confinement, Day 6. The usual rice set of semi-solid food and vitamins was now accompanied with a dessert snack, as of today. Gum, candy, chocolate, it's all there. It was yesterday, but I'm sure she used some sort of expedited delivery service from a certain website. She would never have to meet the delivery person if she used a delivery service. Then, I picked up a piece of candy and drew her today again. I felt like I could draw better than I imagined I could when I put sugar in my mouth. If I'm in a good mood and eat a lot, the ration will soon be insufficient. Can I get a refill or something? I asked that discreetly. This was the third time I've asked her today. I'm not a house guest, but on the third cup, I ate it carefully. That's all for today. Don't say that. No more. She shakes her head. Didn't you buy in bulk? That's a better offer. But you will eat as much as you have. That's something I couldn't argue with. In reality, I have a record of being a frugal eater who believed it was cheaper to buy in bulk and then going on a binge eating and drinking spree. She nodded in remorse, and she left the room. I guess she got tired of my greed. I thought back and she suddenly came back. She had a sachet of white powder in her hand. Is it the sugar that comes with yogurt? I thought she was trying to keep me healthy by not overloading me with sugar, right? In front of me, who was feeling more and more remorseful, she took an outlandish action. With a snap, she rips open the sachet and begins sprinkling sugar onto her left-hand fingers. NGH. Then she put her left hand in front of my mouth at random. No, it's okay. I'm not a child, I can put up with sweets. I backed away and shook my head violently. NGH. Still, she frowns bitterly and extends her sugar-covered index finger. When I saw the strength being poured into her right hand, which was clutching the knife, I gave up my struggle early on. Thanks for the meal. I sucked the girl's index finger. It's sweet and smells nice as well. I felt a unique feeling of fingerprints on my tongue. This one, for sure, isn't going to make me miss a mouthful. But I feel as pitiful as if a baby's pacifier were pushed into my mouth. If she was doing this out of a desire to educate me, then it's good. Starting tomorrow, I will no longer wish for any more sweets. I'm getting more and more confused about this girl. Money was tightly controlled in this relationship. There was also the commonly held belief that alcohol and tobacco are bad for me, but she doesn't seem to realize that she shouldn't unnecessarily provoke men. Sure, she has a knife, but what is she going to do if I start fighting back? I might bite her fingers, take her knife, and push her down the other way. Of course, I don't have the guts or strength to do it, but it is thinkable. It is quite possible that this is a possibility. Done. The girl pulls her finger out of my mouth. Aya. After that, my drawing continued as if nothing had happened. It was a day in which the girl's mysteriousness deepened with her tiny morals. Confinement, day 7. Slowly, I'm feeling better. My physical condition has finally recovered to the point where I can say that I am in perfect health. This is probably the result of getting proper sleep, cutting out alcohol and cigarettes, and following the healthy diet she provides. As my body and mind get better, I can afford to think about her ecology. Indeed, looking at her uniform, it is probably safe to say that she is a high school girl. Although there is a possibility that the school uniform is a cosplay one bought by mail order, at least hers is not the cheap one that is used for party goods. It's not impossible that she may have bought a real school uniform from a graduate through a flea market app or something, but there's no point in going that far to get a school uniform. Or rather, Sakuraba. I think it is a rich public school, quite famous in the neighborhood. I thought about this when I saw the school emblem sewn onto the uniform. I don't have any children and haven't taken any proper entrance exams, so I'm not well informed about this kind of school. But, as I recall, a middle-aged woman I passed in a local supermarket said to me, we don't have the money to send you to Sakuraba. I think she was having a conversation like that. As a school that was described with such words, it can be assumed that the tuition fees must be quite high. After all, it must be a rich school. A student who can afford to attend a rich school would surely not try to make a few coins by selling her uniform on a flea market app. So it is safe to assume that the uniform she is wearing is her own property. Anyway, if she is a genuine high school girl, it is strange that she is modeling for my drawings during the daytime on weekdays like this. Doesn't she have to go to school? Of course, there are students who tend to skip school, but she doesn't seem to be that type. If I don't have the concentration to draw the entire day long, she will be in the kitchen, except when she's modeling. But even then, there is no indication that she is out and about. I always feel her presence outside the room. The proof of this is that whenever I ask to go to the toilet, she will give a response. In a sense, can it be said that this is a luxurious life of confinement? Normally, the standard for waste disposal in confinement is the potty or nappies. At least, this is the case in films and comics. Even those who incarcerate them find it a hassle to accompany them to the toilet every time since they have another job to do. In addition, the right to go to the toilet is taken away in order to have the effect of mentally subjugating the incarcerated person and trampling on their dignity as a human being. However, she follows me to the toilet every time with a knife and a chain that she has removed, in a disciplined manner. So I guess she doesn't want to abuse me. In fact, since she locked me up, I've been feeling better than before. Come to think of it, what does she do late at night? I wonder if she ever goes home. Such a thought suddenly came. Since I entered the confinement, she has been controlling my rhythm of life, including my meals, so I'm half forced to lead a regular life. My sleep cycle is also becoming healthy, with me going to bed before 11 at night and getting up around 7 in the morning. Does this count as rebellion? To settle this question, I went to sleep earlier than usual. Then, around 5 in the morning, I woke up with a whimper. Sorry, I need to go to the toilet. I called out outside my room. I can still afford to hold it, but I really want to go to the bathroom. For a few seconds, there is no response. Eventually, a thumping, rattling, busy noise is heard. As I predicted, she is always at home. It seems safe to assume so. Gotcha. Eventually, the door opens. The girl is in her uniform as usual. She comes towards me, knife in hand, rubbing her eyes sleepily. She unclips the chain as usual, takes the end of it and leads me out of the room. I see you sleep in your pajamas at night, I say, giving a quick glance at the freshly removed garment out of the corner of my eye. It has a unique design, with a skull pattern on the hood and zombies printed on the body parts. Next to it is a sleeping bag. This also has an interesting design that looks like a vampire's coffin. She reacts to my words with unexpected agility. Quickly, she moves the sleeping bag with her feet and hides her pajamas. Is she embarrassed to be seen in her pajamas? Is it okay for her to let me see her in her swimsuit, but not her pajamas? I don't understand her behavior. I'm sorry. I bow my head. I just casually mentioned something that caught my eye, not that I wanted to embarrass her. It's fine, she said bluntly. I quickly do my business and flush. Just wait a minute, she continued, and with the chain in her hand, she goes into the toilet as if to switch places. The sound of the toilet water running is heard again. It's too early to finish her business, so I think it's what's known as sound masking. Come to think of it, I'm sharing a bathroom and toilet with JK right now. It is a conclusion that is naturally drawn from the fact that the girl is staying in this room, but it is still embarrassing to be reminded about it again in this way. Don. The bathroom door swings open, as if to rebuke my ill-informed imagination. I want. The girl is muttering something. Ha! What is it? I can't hear you. I raised my voice slightly. Her voice is even quieter than usual. There is no way I can hear her through the door. I put my hands over my ears and bring my face close to the door. Toilet paper. Gotcha, Batan. For a few tenths of a second the toilet door was half open and then quickly closed. Yes, that's what you meant. I run hurriedly to the bathroom. The chain is just barely long enough, but I manage to get some toilet paper out and dance back to the front of the toilet. I got it. I turn my back to the toilet and hold out the toilet paper with my back facing the door. Gotcha. You're late. While hearing a slightly irritated girl's voice, my hand becomes light. I can hear the sound of the door closing again. I'm surprised. I saw that girl earlier when she opened the door, maybe black underwear, right? By any chance, will I get accused of some kind of crime? Or, rather, is the girl aware that I saw her underwear in the first place? If she didn't notice, she's too defenseless, and if she intended to show it on purpose, I have to say she is underestimating men too much. Not all men in the world are slackers like me. After some moment of anguish and not being in the mood to continue due to consideration of her condition, I go back to bed and lay down. Confinement, Day 8. The most enjoyable part of being confined is eating. Bathing is just as much fun as eating, but it's not something I do every day, so if anything it's the food. Of course, sweets also make me happy, but they are only snacks. After all, there is no doubt that the main meal is what keeps me going each day. However, today, the meals served are a 3-piece set of yogurt, jelly, and supplements, which does not look different. It isn't bad for a sick person's diet, but I am getting tired of it. Thanks for the food. With this in mind, I poured my lunch into my stomach and put my hands together. Osamatsuzema. Expression of humility said by the person who provided a meal after it is eaten. I know these menus are good for digestion. I'm feeling better now, so I'd like to have a more proper meal. Something with a stronger flavor, something with more bite. As she collects my tray and is about to leave the room, she says, I don't have my tools. She puts the tray on the floor again, sits down lopsidedly. Then I open my mouth. Certainly, I got rid of all the dishes and cooking utensils before I moved. Yeah. She nods vaguely. But these trays and spoons aren't mine, are they? How did you get these? Just stuff that was in my house. She says in a really random way. After all, these silverwares are hers, aren't they? In light of her uniform, she must be born into a wealthy family. Then that knife too? I bought the knife. You have a tray and a spoon in the house but no knives. No cooking allowed. It sounds like a complicated home environment in many ways. I see. Well, if you bought a knife, why don't you get other tools too? It's not comfortable to just have a knife, because it's like, you bought a G-pen but you don't have ink and paper. I appeal desperately, using a handheld analogy. Would you like a home-cooked meal from me? She tilts her head and stares at me. Yes, hopefully. I nod. I see. With a short answer, the girl gets up and walks out of the room. I'm sorry. Was I out of line? If that doesn't seem possible, I'd be fine with retort food or instant food. I am worried that I offended her, so I speak to the closed door, which replies to me in silence. Maybe I'm getting too carried away. It is probably 10 minutes after I have entered a state of reflection in a sitting position. The door opens again. I'll have it for you by tomorrow evening. She stands at the door, subtly averting her gaze from me, and shows me the order screen on her phone. There, lined up in a row, is a set of highly reviewed cooking utensils. Apparently, her earlier curt attitude is a cover for her embarrassment. Thank you for listening to my wishes. Don't get your hopes up too much. After saying this, she collects her tray and leaves. Even if she says that, I still have expectations. I've never eaten a woman's home cooking other than my family's. I am glad to see that there are new pleasures added to life in confinement. About the compensation. The girl peeks out of the doorway and says, as if remembering, for food? Okay, you want me to paint some nail art on your fingers? I got the hang of it in the last work. I'll do it better this time. No. The girl shakes her head. Then what do you want me to do? Draw me a manga. She answers immediately and gives me a sharp look, as if she can see through the back of my mind. No, but unlike sketching, manga is not something I can just draw because I'm told to. You see, you have to think about the story, the composition, and all sorts of other things. It's okay. The girl interrupts my excuses and lets the tip of the knife peek through the door. Draw a manga. She repeats, as if to remind me, and close the door. If I could draw what I was told to draw, I wouldn't have any trouble. Swearing in my heart, I face the liquid tab. Even if I groan, hold my head and writhe, no new story comes to mind. The sweet anticipation of homemade food has vanished before I know it. Confinement, Day 9. After breakfast. The standoff with the liquid tablet continues. I repeatedly divide frames appropriately, erase them, draw a rough sketch that looks like a character, and then erase it. If I were capable of coming up with masterpieces, I wouldn't have had my name rejected by editors so many times. No, wait. Do I have to draw an interesting story on a commercial level this time? It doesn't matter if the work is terrible. I'm not getting paid for this. I don't have to worry about how the editors feel about it, or whether it will get buzz on social networking sites. The girl just asked me to draw a manga. Then there is nothing difficult about it. It's not a romantic comedy manga that will sell, as the editor in charge told me to make, but a manga that will please the girl. It's a lot easier when you think about it that way. Then again, a manga with her in it would be better, wouldn't it? Looking back, there have been a few events that have happened in my confinement with her that could have been a story. Can we have a 4-panel story about everyday life? I take up a pen. At first, I drew a 4-panel comic based on the incident where she made me eat her sugar-covered fingers. It was done easily, in less than 30 minutes. The resistance I had felt to drawing manga up until then seems to have been a lie. Would people think I'm lazy with this? I should draw a short. In any case, I'll play with it. This time, I am drawing a short manga based on yesterday's conversation. When I don't have to worry about reader reception, I am more willing to experiment with novel panel layouts and character designs, and I get more and more into it. I didn't even notice she was by my side, with 2 silver trays on the floor. Only then, I realize that it's already dinner time. I think I have skipped lunch. Oh, sorry. I'll eat now. I hurriedly put down my pen and replace it with a spoon. May I? Oh, yeah, you can read it. I haven't finished the finer details yet, but please do if you still want to. I then hurriedly scrape down my lunch. The girl operates the liquid tablet. She reads the comic as if she is chewing each piece. I watch her with a hurried feeling as I am slowly rolling the jelly for my dinner on my tongue. Eventually, when I finish my 2 nutritional meals, she looks up from the liquid tab. How is it? I ask her, looking into her face. What does she think of this first project? Thank you. Surprisingly, it is a positive response. Why thank you? I anticipated the words, interesting, or boring, or some other critique of the work, so that's why I tilt my head and ask. But she doesn't answer my question, and she begins to put away the silver trays. I cannot read her entire expression because of the mask, but the corner of her eyes definitely loosen. That reaction is enough for me at the moment. Confinement, Day 10. Jeki. Zaku. Misha. NNN. What is it? A disturbing noise wakes me up. Words that make no sense, leaking from outside the room. It is an animalistic meow, like that of a monkey or a kitten, but I don't need to think about who it is coming from. I wonder what she is doing. I nip quietly towards the door. I want to hear it clearly. The chain is longer than it was yesterday. Apparently, the girl has adjusted it. Until yesterday, I couldn't even reach my fingertips to the door. But now I can stick my forehead to the door. Does this mean it's a reward for drawing the manga? With this in mind, I peek into the kitchen space through the gap in the door. She is standing in the kitchen, a familiar knife in her hand. Hidden by her body, I cannot see what she is cutting. She occasionally makes strange noises and blindly swings the knife down. Pieces of something are flying in the air. Watching her clumsy hands, I am really glad that I didn't resist her back then. If I had resisted, even if she had no intention of doing so, it is highly likely that the knife would have moved unexpectedly and the threat would have ended up being more than a threat. I gently step away from the door. It appears that she is practicing her cooking. There are a number of rejected names before a single manga is produced, but that is not something the reader needs to know. Likewise, she won't want me to see the hard work part. Gotcha. A few minutes later, she enters the room with a nonchalant air, as if nothing had happened. Here. She places a tray of food in front of me. The same 3-piece set as usual. But today's yogurt was topped with pineapple. I see, so this is her experiment. I spoon the poor fruit, a victim of her improved cooking skills, into the yogurt. Just a little topping makes the usual yogurt taste a lot better, doesn't it? Gari, gusasu. Ow. I feel something pierce my lips. Reflexively, I spat the foreign object onto the tray. Pineapple thorn? I mutter to myself as I look at the brown thorns. The yogurt turns a faint reddish color. Para. She silently flips up the hem of her shirt and puts her hand into the waist pouch. Soon, the highest denomination note of Japan is thrust in front of me. Why did you suddenly give me a 10,000 note? Alimony. I then say in a serious tone. Sincerity is important, but I don't think it's good to try to solve everything with money. She swims her eyes from side to side and quickly withdraws the money. Yeah. I wouldn't ask for money for something like this. How about this then? The girl suddenly puts her hand to pull up her skirt. It's not like that. She looks away and stops herself from pulling up her skirt. I can see up to the point of her thighs, but I can't see the fabric beyond that point, so it's safe. Then, what should I do? I don't need anything. This is nothing if I eat with care. I said in a light tone so that the girl would not be bothered and resume eating. As if she can't stand it anymore, she quickly leaves the room. This is probably not what I should expect from a home-cooked meal. Inwardly, I lower the bar for her making food. I finish my meal by carefully dodging the thorns and taking small mouthfuls. As if at the right moment, the girl returns to her room. In her right hand is a knife. And on her left hand. Why the earpick? I ask, taking one look at a thin stick with a curved tip, similar to a muddler. Because pain can be compensated by pleasure. The girl replies, coming up next to me and sits down. She pon her thigh with her hand and tries to guide my head. She really wants to apologize for the foreign object. Just for confirmation, have you ever ear cleaned anyone other than yourself? No. The girl says this matter-of-factly. A JK ear cleaning. In the literal sense, it's a dreamy situation, but as I know the girl's clumsiness, it's not reassuring at all. The fear of having my brain directly stirred up just because her hand is a little out of control is greater than the threat of a kitchen knife. I'd love to, but I don't want it. So, indeed. Is this still the way? The girl tries to lift her skirt. Please use an earpick. I involuntarily follow and lay down on her thighs. I feel the warmth of her skin through the fabric of her skirt. But that's probably not the origin of the pounding in my chest. Scary, scary, scary. Isa. Isa is a word that is used, or shouted when the speaker starts to do something important enthusiastically. The girl says in the tone of a warrior before going into battle. Yes, life is precious. I reply to her and close my eyes. A tickling sensation in the shallow part of my ear canal. A probing hand. If she is this careful, then there's no problem, right? That was what I thought until... Gari. You. Intense pain. It suddenly came deep inside. You're fine. No, I'm the one who decides that. The girl ignores my protests and continues to clean my ears. There were a few chilling moments, but she managed to finish one ear without bleeding. I flip my body over. A rustling, dry sound shakes my eardrums. Feel good? The girl asks, halfway through the work. Yeah, one of the 3 best I've ever had. I'm not lying. Because so far the only people who have ever earwigged me are myself, my parents and her. Draw me again. Manga. Is she satisfied with my answer or not? The girl demands in a soft tone. I'll try. I mutter bluntly. Even without a knife, she still holds the right to my life and death in her hands. Finished. She pulls her knees. My head hits the floor with a thud and my ear canals are released. It is refreshing, but also leaves me feeling somewhat icky. Confinement, day 11. As promised, I am drawing manga for her again today. At first, I drew non-fiction daily life stories, as I did yesterday, but I was getting tired of it. Then I started thinking about fantasy names, but I wanted to flirt with science fiction and Xenobattle, and I just couldn't get it right. As I was absorbed in my work, dinner time came in no time at all. At last the moment has arrived when the girl's home-cooked meal is to be presented. A ceramic plate and fork are brought out on the usual tray. She often stays outside of this room during my meals. But today she is sitting in front of the cardboard and staring at me. I know how she feels. I'm sure she feels the same way as I did the last time I showed her my rehabilitation manga. I'm ready to face her food. What is this? If we talk about Japanese, Western, and Chinese, maybe it's Western? I can't say for sure. For now, the staple food is 2 pancakes. However, they are so burnt that they are almost mistaken for grilled rice balls for a moment. The side dish is something that looks like scrambled eggs. There is a reason why I can only say something that looks like. On top of the scrambled eggs, ketchup was poured so thickly that it looks like a murder scene. It is no longer clear whether the ketchup is the main ingredient or the egg underneath. If she had made normal scrambled eggs, this would not have happened. When one tries to make an omelette or a fried egg and fails, they will realize that they have made a mess and pour ketchup on it to cover it up. That's the atmosphere. Finally, there is an apple for dessert. This is, without question, just an apple. However, it has a bizarre shape, like an anaspidia or a chulhu-like evil god. I assume that she probably wanted it to be rabbit-shaped, but it doesn't look very rabbit-like. If it is a rabbit, it must be a zombie rabbit. The dishes are probably British or some other branded-looking China, which makes the awful appearance of the food even more noticeable. I shall eat it now. The girl restrains me as I reach for my fork. Are you going to feed me? No, indeed, not like such a toddler. I have a manufacturer's liability. She says this unilaterally and grabs the fork from me. She thrusts it straight into the pancake and holds it straight up to my mouth. The sleeves of her uniform give a glimpse of her arms and armpits. To be honest, I make no secret of the fact that I think that it looks better than the pancakes. Well, then, I'll take your word for it. I open my mouth. The girl grips my chin with her left hand and pushes the pancake into my mouth. Sweet and salty. No, a bit too salty. But if I think of it as something like a salted sweet, I can just barely eat it. Next, we'll have the eggs, she says, pointing to what looks like scrambled eggs. 9 out of 10, I think the name of that dish is scrambled eggs. But if it's not, calling it scrambled eggs will be disrespectful to her, so I call it eggs since I'm 100% sure it's eggs. Okay. The girl puts the scrambled egg, tentatively, on the belly of her fork and shoves it into my mouth. Its taste can be described as antsy or pearly. Ketchup is delicious to begin with, so whatever the state of the egg underneath, the quality is there to eat. The eggshell-like contaminant is a bit jarring, but it's nothing compared to pineapple skin. It's totally edible. The pancakes and the scrambled eggs, explosion, are alternately taken into the mouth and the plate is emptied. She grabbed the remaining dessert apple with her hand and stuffed it into my mouth. There is nothing special to say about its taste. It simply tastes like apples. It's good in general. I finished the meal without incident. Overall, I will rate the girl's home-cooked food. It's delicious. I muttered to myself. I'm trying to create as much of a poker face as I can, but I'm worried she'll notice. Yeah. Delicious. Thank you. She stares at me intently and I repeat my compliments once more as I finish my meal. It would be disappointing if she was discouraged from cooking just because I gave her a negative comment. In fact, I think it's a good performance for the first dish she made. If this were to come out every day, it would be tough, frankly. But compared to yesterday's pineapple, she has surely improved. I believe in her ambition. Osamatsu-zama. The girl wipes the ketchup from my lips with her index finger, with the usual canned phrase. Then she leaves a little gap in the mask and licks her fingertips. It is humiliating to be treated like an infant, but the red tongue that was visible for a moment was strangely glamorous. The girl stands up with the tray as if nothing had happened and turns on her heel. Ah. So, the price for today. I haven't finished the manga yet. I say apologetically. Don't worry about the compensation. I've already received it. The girl says in a flat voice with her back to me. Despite her tone, her steps are light. Confinement, Day 12. Today, as ever, my life of confinement continues. As usual, my living space is this small living room. A landscape that does not change. But there have been some positive changes. One example of those is that I can now wake up refreshed from sleep. Because until now, the things that woke me up from sleep were the sounds of trucks passing outside, announcements of garbage collection, or the sound of motorbikes roaring. It was not very pleasant to be woken up by them, which are classified as so-called noise. But now, it is the sound of her cooking breakfast that prompts me to wake up from sleep. The sound of boiling water. The sound of a knife moving rhythmically, not quite regularly, but rhythmically. The odd noises are much less frequent, and I can hear her humming. It's a song I don't know. For me, who had lived alone ever since I became a mangaka, it is a somewhat nostalgic and relieving sensation. I glance through the door and see what looks like a recipe book beside her. These days, when you can search for any number of recipes with a single smartphone, I can sense her seriousness in daring to choose a paper book. At the same time, I feel a little sorry for making her work all the time. However, there is not much I can do as I am locked up. After thinking about it for a while, I started doing light exercises and muscle training. I need to make sure that my body doesn't get sluggish from living in confinement, and I feel that moderate exercise keeps my mind sharp and helps me to be more creative. Then, after about 2 sets of push-ups, sit-ups, and thigh raises, as well as radio calisthenics for as long as I can remember, breakfast is ready. When I thankfully finish it, a wash basin with water and a glass of water are brought to me in exchange for the empty tray. I brush my teeth with it, wash my face, and I'm done with my morning preparations. Then, after cleaning up everything, she comes to my room. The rest of the day is spent drawing her and manga as long as I can concentrate. In no time at all, it's evening. Your bath is ready. A female voice announces with a distinctive melody. With that as a signal, my work is finished. Bath. Yes. The chains are removed and I am taken to the bathroom. No, I'm already heading towards there myself. I've already put in the bath salts today. Just before I enter the changing room, she mutters. Oh, the one I asked for before. Thank you. She nods silently and turns her back. She cooks dinner while I take a bath. I take a shower and wash myself. Feeling excited, I open the bathtub lid. What is this? I can't believe my eyes. There is jet black water there, as if it has been sprayed with ink. Bubbles are also rising. But the smell is amazing. It has the aroma of her cone, yufuincho, and kusatsu all mixed together. There is also a hint of curry. What on earth is this bath salts? Is it a smell or an odor? It's already the last line. But it's the bath salts that she put in here. I tell myself that and put my feet in the bathtub. At first it felt slippery and uncomfortable, but after a while of full body immersion, it feels like it is sticking to my body and surprisingly, I don't feel bad. The sensation is similar to the mud baths in the hot springs in Kyushu. I close my eyes and sink my body until my chin is immersed in the hot water. Immersed in paradise. Garara. How is it? The nirvana is instantly broken. When I open my eyes, Bodhisattva is there, dressed in a bath towel. Puff. What's wrong? I say, wiping the hot water that almost entered my mouth with the back of my hand. The girl's vital areas are hidden, but her cleavage, the very edge of her upper breast, is exposed, and her bottom is also hidden, with only about the same area as a man's boxer shorts. Even if I try to avert my eyes, I can't help but acknowledge that she is in the narrow bathroom. In the warm light, her white skin looks softer than usual. I'm coming in. Ah, yes. What about cooking? You don't leave the fire on or anything, do you? I bring up such a topic as if to divert the spearhead of my lust to food. I'm soaking it right now. She replies curtly. Well, that's fine, but, I mean, what are these bath salts called? I show her the water that I have scooped. I mixed all the ones that seemed to have a good reputation. I don't know which one will work. She says with her eyes wide open. I can't see well through the mask, but I think she looks kind of proud. That's a very meshimazu, very bad, idea. The word, I'm sorry, is almost in my throat, but I hold it in. That's good news. Well, I'll go out first. It's fine. She restrains me with her hand as I try to get up from the bathtub and comes closer to me. But it's too small, right? It's fine. We're not gonna waste it. And it's a hassle to reconnect the chains. She dunks one foot in the hot water to check the temperature. Sure, we may be saving on the utility bills if we both go in together, but that's the kind of thing parents and children or cohabiting couples do. Oh, can you at least wear your school swimming cosplay like before? Baths should be taken naked. She insists and finally sits on the edge of the bathtub. I shrink back as far as I can and move closer to the edge. Then at least leave the bath towel on. It's bad manners to put a towel in the hot water. The girl does as she says, twirling and rolling up the end of the bath towel, and sinks her body into the bathtub. She was supposed to be clumsy, but her skill was superb and her important parts were completely invisible. Perhaps all girls have acquired the skill of changing without exposing their skin since they were in elementary school when swimming lessons began. Or perhaps it is good manners to take a bath with a mask on. You're Japanese. I give up resisting with such a random thought. I'll stretch my legs. Okay. You too. Yes. From a gymnastic sitting position, I slowly stretch out my legs. My legs and the girl's legs alternate at the bottom of the bathtub. Occasionally, her toes brush against my thighs, and to be honest, I'm not too keen on it. It's a moderately exciting day, even if it doesn't look the same. Apparently, my confinement is being upgraded on a daily basis. Confinement, day 13. Could I have a cup of tea or something? It is afternoon. I am thirsty, so I call out to her, but she doesn't respond. Is she taking a nap? I look out through the door. Indeed, she is there with her eyes firmly open. She is sitting in a chair, facing a book spread out on a piece of cardboard that serves as a desk. Next to it is also a notebook and a mechanical pencil. It doesn't look like a recipe. It's a reference book. I can't see the details, but I can see that there are a lot of difficult mathematical formulas in the book. It appears to be a maths reference book. Is she so concentrated on solving the problems that she didn't notice my voice? If she wants to study so much, why doesn't she go to school? More questions keep popping. Perhaps there are circumstances that prevent her from going even if she wanted to. Is there something troubling her? Why am I worrying about the person who is locking me up? I scold myself for naturally caring for her. Can this be Stockholm Syndrome? But if she goes to school, she might give up the confinement. I justify my feelings with such thoughts. Even if so, what should I say to her? Out of the blue, what's bothering you? What an unnatural thing to ask. I hold my head in my hands. She's not a big talker either, but that's the same for me. I'm not a good talker, that is why I choose to express myself through the medium of manga. In the end, all I can do is work hard on my manga. From what she's said and done so far, it's clear that she wants me to draw manga. Let's get a bit enthusiastic and try to come up with a serious new name. I used to draw a random manga and play around with it, but when I see her working hard on her studies, I really feel ashamed of myself. I quietly move away from the door so as not to disturb her. Facing the liquid tab, I open the page that I haven't opened for a long time now, a storybook, a page that serves as a memo. Of course, I can't deny that most of them are rejected ideas. Still, believing that there are treasures hidden amongst the junk, I start rummaging through it once more. Lunch. I turn around. The girl is there with a tray. Ah, it's already 12 o'clock. Oh, summon noodles. It's almost time for it to taste good, isn't it? I take one look at the coolly placed food in a glass bowl and mutter. The only condiments are simply spring onions. The girl puts down the tray and leaves. I shall eat. I eat my summoned noodles quickly. I put the tray on the floor and go back to work. Gotcha. I hear the door open behind my back. The girl must have come to collect the tray. But her presence does not disappear. What can I do for you? I feel a persistent gaze on me and I turn around. Here. The girl suddenly take out a pair of scissors. Wait, what is it? I'm not skipping the manga, I'm just fishing around for ideas. I shake my head and hug the liquid tab. No, hair. The girl says, poking my head with her chin. Hair. Come to think of it, my fringes might be getting a bit long. I brush my fringes up with my hand. I haven't been able to get a haircut or anything for a while, so it is long enough to cover my eyes. The girl nods. Perhaps, you'll give me a haircut. Call out to me when you take a break. I nod again and say, did you wait so you wouldn't disturb me? Then give me the scissors. I'll cut my hair quickly. Just a quick cut in the front of the head. It won't take more than a few minutes. No. The girl shakes her head. It's a no. Well, if she gives me the scissors, I may fight back. Okay. Then cut them yourself. It's not disturbing my work, don't worry about it. I'm just looking at past notes at the moment and not worrying about the task at hand. So take your time, I said, facing the liquid tab and with my back to the girl. I know for a fact that the girl is clumsy. I don't care if the result is lousy, I want her to finish my haircut without giving fresh scars. I see. Her footsteps approach me. I brace myself so my upper body doesn't shake. The girl's fingers stroke my hair. It must have been hand-combed or something. It is a nostalgic, motherly touch. She is younger than me, which is strange. Jicky, jicky, jockey jockey. The shears move slowly at first, then more boldly. My black hair starts to fall on the floor. I try to read the notes on the liquid tab, but I am too anxious to concentrate. Finish. A few minutes later, she mutters quietly, "Thank you." I feel refreshed. Shaking my head, I brush away the hair that hasn't fallen out. Thank goodness. To be honest, it hurts sometimes, but at least I didn't turn into an earless hoikai type of ghost. Cleaning. The girl starts to collect remnants of my hair with her hands. That's fine, but... what are you doing? The girl silently puts my hair, which she has collected, into a clear plastic bag. I can understand if it's a rubbish bag, but I don't understand why I need to put it in a thick one with a zip. The girl tilts her head. No, I'm talking about why you need to store my hair in a sturdy plastic bag. SDGs. Having collected every strand of my hair, the girl leaves the room with only a cryptic reply. I still don't understand what the Sustainable Development Goals have to do with my hair. Confinement, day 14. No. This isn't going to cut it. I close my notepad and look up at the ceiling. Since yesterday, I've been going through all the aces I've accumulated in the past, but it seems to have been a futile attempt. It's no surprise, when I think about it. In the first place, the ideas that stand out in my mind have already been made into names. All that's left now are benchwarmers, not aces, not even regulars. It's just impossible to win with only reserve players. I have to come up with new ideas. I know that, but I try to take the easy way out again. I'm a terrible person. Coco, comcon, cococo, comcon. Yes, dinner. A girl enters the room with a tray in her hand. Oh, you look gorgeous today. I let out an unintentional exclamation. The staple is rice that glistens glossily and steams with hot water. It also includes a hamburger steak in a demi-glace sauce. It does not appear to have any unusual burn marks on it. As a side dish, there are cherry tomatoes and stir-fried asparagus and carrots. As usual, a supplement is also included. Gukyu. My stomach rumbles. For the first time since I've been in captivity, I feel like I've encountered appetizing food. Itadakimasu. I pick up the chopsticks. The rice is slightly soft. The stir-fried vegetables are evenly sized and have just the right amount of salt. Then comes the main course, hamburger steak. I split in half and the juices overflowed. Taking it into my mouth. The umami of the minced meat and the aroma of the sauce, which contains a good sweetness and acidity, fills the mouth. The meat is then put into the stomach as desired. The demi-glace sauce is wiped away neatly with a carrot and the dish is finished. Phew, thanks for the food. It was delicious. I put down my chopsticks and muttered to myself with a pleasant sense of fullness. Really? Of course. It's amazing. It's really great that you've improved so much in such a short time. I applaud her progress with honest admiration. Objectively speaking, her cooking may have been nothing more than cooking rice, grilling an ordinary hamburger and making a simple stir-fried vegetable dish. Still, for me, this time the food is an unmistakable feast. Because compared to the first grilled rice ball-style pancakes, it's a world of difference. Even though it's the same dish, it's as different as a black phone evolving into a smartphone. Good. The girl replies without hesitation. But I am sure she is more pleased than that short reply. Because the muscles in her cheeks are so relaxed that even through the mask I can tell. She's making such an effort too. I have to work hard too. I can't just remain stagnant. Let's do what I can now. She may act not particularly proud of it, but I know. The fact that she was studying from a recipe book, as well as the numerous adhesive plasters on her hands, silently testified to the girl's efforts. Then I can't lose. There's a book I'd like you to order for me. I stare into her eyes and start. What kind of book? A book on storytelling and drawing. If I can't come up with ideas, I have to get input from outside. And even if the story is at the same level as before, the better the pictures, the better the readability. I understand. The girl nods. And the price? Your manga. That'd be great. After our brief conversation, I renewed my determination to work on the name and the sketches. Confinement, Day 15. Today is a full day of reading. I read the various resource books that arrived by express delivery in the morning. I dog-ear every page that looks like it could be useful. I can't come up with a new plot yet, but I can feel the accumulation of unnamed parts that will become the seeds of creativity. By analogy, it is a balloon before it explodes. Or like a manual car with a half-clutch. Food. The next thing I know, she is standing at the door. Ah, is it that time already? Looks good today too. I look up and close the book, tucking the bookmark between the pages I have been reading. I then move it to the wall with the other books so as not to make a mess. I also move the drawing tablet away from the cardboard and convert it into an improvised table. Today's menu is seafood pasta with prawns and clams and salad. The aroma of rocky seaweed tickles the nose. She places the tray on the cardboard and turns back to the kitchen. Soon after, she returns with another tray. It has the exact same menu as mine. You wanna eat here too? I ask, as if to confirm. I can't. No, of course not. Eating alone is also tasteless. The cardboard is turned from horizontal to vertical to make room for her tray. I'm sure the girl made the food on her own, along with mine, even yesterday. Usually she would eat in the kitchen on that occasion. And yet, today she is eating with me. What kind of change of heart is this? Can I assume that she has forgiven me? Is that so? She says a little happily, puts the tray on the cardboard and sits down opposite me. She is sitting with a beautiful straight back. Itadakimasu. Itadakimasu. We mutter almost simultaneously. Then, the girl suddenly takes off her mask. It is an ordinary gesture, but I can't help but feel a thrill. Because this is the first time, at this very moment, that I see her real face. What appears from under the mask is a beautiful girl, just as I have imagined. A well-defined nose and lightly pigmented cherry lips. Her nose and mouth are there in a perfect arrangement, just like her. It's delicious. The fish and shellfish broth is good. I concentrated on the food, trying to disguise the excitement in my heart. I'm glad. She brings the pasta to her mouth with the graceful use of a fork, as if she were Italian. It is a gesture that somehow makes me feel that she has been brought up well. Silence prevails. Occasionally, the light sound of dishes and forks touching echoes. As long as we are eating together, it is awkward not to have any conversation. I have to talk about something. I want to ask you something. I rest my hand on my fork and open my mouth. What? We've met before, haven't we? Well, before the day I collapsed on your doorstep. Yes. The girl nods quietly. I knew it. Apparently, I thought I saw you in town. It seems I am not mistaken after all. Before I was locked up, she and I had already known each other. Again, silence comes. What should I do? I can't just ask her about my confinement, can I? Compared to the beginning of the confinement, I think we have become much more relaxed, but I don't know when a strange switch will be flipped. There is still a knife firmly within her reach. You look like you're wearing a uniform. Are you in high school? After some hesitation, I ask such an uninteresting question. But since she herself shows up wearing a uniform, it shouldn't be an awkward question to ask. Yes. She nods unreliably. Are you sure you don't need to go to school? You know, attendance and all. I don't know. Saying that, she looks away from me. I see. Do you like maths? You know, I caught a glimpse of you the other day when I was going to the toilet. Not much. In fact, it's the subject in which I get the worst grades. So it's because she's not good at it that she is trying to overcome it. This attitude seems very typical of her. Oh yeah, that's a coincidence. When I was at school, I didn't have a clue about maths either. Or rather, the only subject I was good at was art, ha ha ha. I mumbles and lets out an unnatural, dry laugh. I feel pathetic at my lack of communication skills. If there was a hole, I'd want to crawl in it. I envy you for being so good at drawing. It's amazing. Oh, yeah? Thank you. You know, we all have at least one thing we're good at, right? Do you have a subject you're good at, too? The subjects in which I perform best in tests are Japanese. Japanese. I didn't do very well in Japanese, but I like to read. I can't read very fast. But, yes, I like Japanese. It's true. I have no problem with dictating kanji, but when it comes to writing, I am the type of person who reads too much into unnecessary things and gets stuck in a ditch. No, I'm not like that. I'm not good at Japanese. But it's a subject you're good at, isn't it? Yes. I can do the written examinations. But in Japanese class, sometimes we have group discussions. I don't have any friends. The girl looks down and stops speaking. Unsure of what to say back, she clamps her mouth shut. I don't know if it's a bad idea to go into this any further. Anyway, it seems certain that she feels some kind of rift with the school. But still, I'm glad that today's dish is pasta. It doesn't take long to finish eating. We finish our meal before the awkwardness reaches its peak. Well, anyway, thanks for the food. Today's pasta was delicious. I bet it was hard work getting the sand out of the clams. It's fun watching the clams spit out the sand. I see. At this rate, I can look forward to tomorrow's cooking. Yes. She nods and leaves the room with a tray for two. I should have something a bit more decent to talk about before tomorrow. I lie down on the floor in a big heap and sigh. Besides Manga, I have a new assignment. Then again, why did I get nervous when she took off her mask? She's beautiful, but no matter how beautiful she is, it's crazy to get aroused just by looking at her face. No, it's not her face, is it? I felt sexualized by the very act of her taking off her mask. Fetishism, they say, comes from concealing. Without skirts, there would be no pantyhose, and without the culture of shoes, there would be no footwear. Not so long ago, there were hardly any people who felt eroticism towards masks. But nowadays it is commonplace for everyone to hide their faces behind masks, so bare faces have become a rarity. If I am not a special pervert, there must be a good number of men who feel the same kind of excitement for beautiful girls with their masks off. Because they are hidden, we want to see them. Maybe that is the truth of this world. This could be of some use. Ping. It's been a while since my creative sensor has reacted. But a manga that just gets me excited the moment a girl takes off her mask is too niche. That's right. How about a gag manga with a protagonist who sees everything as erotic, even things that aren't erotic? Emphasize and deform the faint anomalies felt in everyday life. This is a technique described in a book on storytelling I read today. Gag manga is a genre I have never tried before. However, the fact that I haven't tried yet also means that I haven't failed yet. Gag manga requires a unique sense of style, so I've always disliked it. But if I can't come up with anything, it's not a bad idea to venture out on my own. The editors are asking me to come up with a romantic comedy project, but if it's funny even as a gag, they'll give it a fair evaluation. Phoo. Today I was able to talk to her more than usual, and I came up with a new story, so it was a very productive day. Oh, I'll write it down before I forget. I turn the drawing tablet on in a hurry. I run the pen over and over so that the ideas won't run away from me. Confinement, Day 16. Another new day begins. Today, of course, I'm working on the name of a new gag manga. Based on yesterday's notes, I think about the plot. I think it would be better to make it as a short story rather than a full-length manga, considering its compatibility with the gag manga genre. While I'm thinking about this, night soon comes. Living in a closed room with no sunlight, one's sense of time inevitably becomes strange. Soon, the girl brings supper. Japanese food. White rice, eggplant with miso soup and grilled fish. Today, too, she is eating across from me. Even a manners instructor would have nothing to complain about. She uses her chopsticks beautifully. The way she eats grilled fish is so beautiful that it makes me, as an adult, feel ashamed. All right. I'll do my best to talk to her again today. The first topic has already been decided. I forgot to ask the most important thing. It's a little late for this, but I put my chopsticks down on the chopstick rest and open my mouth. What? Well, is it okay if I ask you to tell me your name or something? I'm not sure if it would be good to have a conversation just by using you. It's already been more than half a month since I started living in captivity, and yet I still don't know anything about her. At least I should know her name. Konata. The kanji is written as this and that. The girl, Konata, stiffened while trying to remove the bones from the grilled fish. We were silent for a moment and then I spoke. I see. My name is. I know. When I am about to introduce myself, she says readily. What? Not the pseudonym? My real name? I unintentionally asked back. Of course. She nodded vigorously. The boneless fish meat is sucked into her mouth as if the fish were willing to do so. Is that so? I see. You're carrying my stuff, aren't you? You've got my laptop, my phone. You got my PIN number, so I'm leaking all my personal information. This way is fine. She mumbles expressionlessly and continues with the fish dismantling process. Is that so, Konata? But, please wait. I'm sure I only have a pseudonym registered on my drawing tablet, and of course I'm on social networking sites under a pseudonym. And the phone must have had a pattern-style lock on it, not a PIN. She sips her tea in silence. Oh, I see. My wallet. You can just look at my driver's license or insurance card. I solve the question myself and hit my knees. The conclusion is so obvious that I can only laugh. Even before that, I know. However, the answer that comes back to me is somewhat surprising. Did she have the information before she imprisoned me? And then? Really? Then, it was when I dropped my smartphone at the bookstore. I was standing in line behind you, wasn't I? I couldn't get my name across to the clerk when I asked for my receipt, so I had to call out my real name. The girl smiles vaguely and begs to remove the rice grains left in the tea and bowl. And by the way, you must have had a hard time finding my birthday, because there's a lot of rubbish posted on social networking sites. I did indeed self-disclose my date of birth on social networking sites, and I didn't put it in my profile section. She wouldn't have known my date of birth if she hadn't traced my posts of doodles, animated videos and daily food posts and found a photo of a birthday cake. Not really. I'm a fan. She whispers, a little embarrassed. Really? I have all the books. All of them. Benefits are also complete. She says this to me as my eyes widen. There is a somewhat proud smile on her mouth. I see. That's good. I'm so happy. I say that from the bottom of my heart. I have received feedback from fans on social networking sites. But this is the first time I've met my fans in person like this. I've been asked to sign promotional autographs for bookshops before, but I'm not the kind of manga artist who does signings on his own. But if she's a fan of mine, why would she harass me by locking me up? Questions like that cross my mind. But I can't ask her anything more because I am afraid of ruining the good atmosphere we are in. Confinement, Day 17. Indeed, what is important for people is communication. Since I started talking, her watchful eyes have clearly relaxed. This is not my assumption. The evidence of this is that each passing day, even when she follows me to the bathroom or for a bath, she does not bring her knife. No, to be precise, even though she only pretends to have a knife, she hides it so poorly that it's obvious she doesn't have one. I don't know whether this is a sign of carelessness due to familiarity, a sign of trust in me, or both. Don't tell me, it could be a trap to see how I'd react. I'm even wary of that, but anyway, the life-threatening fear that I had in the first few days is fading. Then, the problem at hand is this. After all, drawing gag manga doesn't happen overnight. I think about it while staring at the drawing tablet. I've been stuck with the name of my new work since the very beginning. Gag manga is different in every way from the manga I've drawn up to now. In terms of characterization, simply depicting beautiful men and women in a normal way does not make for a gag. On the other hand, it is not appropriate in this day and age to focus on characters that are blatantly ugly. As a result, it is necessary to deform ordinary people and give them a subtly removed atmosphere, but it is very difficult to draw this intentionally. If the frame layout is done in the same way as in ordinary manga, the pacing would become monotonous and boring. Sometimes I have to be creative. For example, I have to go outside the borders or boldly create a page with full margins. I've always drawn in a rather theoretical way, so it's a constant process of trial and error for me. Painful and grueling, but it's just as much fun. It is a bit similar to the feeling I had when I was drawing frantically in order to enter a newcomer's prize. I should probably consider it a blessing that I am able to regain this feeling. Con. Yes. I answer the knock from my door. I brewed you an iced tea. Heat stroke, it's dangerous. Yeah. Thank you. I put down my pen and turn towards her. She comes towards me with a glass in each hand. It's a bit hot and humid today, although it's not full-blown summer yet. Doing well? She says and sits down opposite of me, giving me a peeking look. No, I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm trying to work on a new name, but it's quite difficult. I slurp down the glass of iced tea, about a third of it, and stop. The cool aroma and the coldness of the tea feels good on my throat. It's pathetic, but it's progress just to be able to speak up and be vulnerable. When things are really tough, I don't even want to touch on the subject. If you like, you can use me for a story. I stare at the melting ice in my glass for a while, but eventually open my mouth as if determined to do so. Ha. About Konata? That's impossible. I can't help but laugh at that off-the-mark remark. The situation now is more of a horror story than a gag. It's a different genre. Non-fiction may be possible, but a story about a mangaka who is locked up by a high school girl is so unrealistic that it's bound to be discredited. In the first place, if I were to make a story about us and the manga were to accidentally sell out, it would be she herself who would be in trouble. If you were to be chased by a weekly journalist or TV crew with the title that hit manga had a real-life model, what would she do? What are you going to do? That's so. She says bluntly and takes a sip of her iced tea. Goku. Her throat won't stop drinking. Is it possible that you are mad? Sorry. What I'm drawing now is a ridiculous gag manga, so a real JK is not a joke. But thank you for thinking so hard for me. I bow my head. She stops drinking her iced tea so suddenly. It seems that her mood changes. Come to think of it, it's been a while since I've laughed. I suddenly realized it. I haven't been able to smile for a long time now, since before I was locked up here. I'm trying to draw a gag comic that makes readers laugh, and this is exactly what I'm doing. Thanks for making me remember the feeling of laughing. I feel like I was able to grasp the sense of gag. Like a gag manga, where someone suddenly says something out of the blue. Communication with people is important. It's also a change of pace and a chance to get ideas. I'm not going to make a story about this one, but thanks to you I'm going to be able to proceed with the name. Smile. Hohimu. Konata tilts her head curiously. Confinement, Day 18. The new storyboard finally sets sail. I've come up with a few gags and the pages are gradually filling up. However, I'm still only at the beginning of the second part of the story. Dinner time. Konata enters the room. There is no longer any knocking. I don't feel the need to, either. It's an omelette. You really made it. I look at the hemispherical yellow object occupying the platter and cheer. Today's menu is what I requested from her. Recently, she has been asking me what I want to eat from time to time, perhaps because she has become more confident in her cooking. By the way, I'm not bragging, but I have a child's tongue. I love food that is easy to understand and has a strong flavor. Today's is a bit special, she says proudly. I ordered it without thinking, but when I thought about it, omelette rice seems too difficult to be a beginner's menu. At least I'm not confident I can successfully wrap the rice in an egg well. Konata must have put a lot of effort into making this. As proof, the omelette on the other side has a tear at the edge of the egg. This means that the better one is given to me. Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Plus, it comes with a message. On top of the omelette for me, the word ganbare is written in ketchup. I told her yesterday that I was having difficulty with the storyboard, so she must have been concerned about me. I've also injected this. With a motivational spell. Konata adds discreetly. Oh, like a maid cafe? You know, like a Momo-kyun kind of thing. If it is what she means, I want her to do it right in front of me. No. It's a Solomon's magic spell. I used it since it's the right time for this month. She replies in an easygoing tone, as if to say, because the meat was cheap in the sale. I don't quite understand, but I feel a tremendous motivation. Come to think of it, her pajamas are skulls and zombies too. Maybe she likes occult stuff. Anyway, I'll have some before it gets cold. I insert a spoon into my omelette. It's appetizing, the red of the ketchup rice and the yellow of the eggs. I blow a little on the hot surface to cool it down and bring it to my mouth. Yeah, it's delicious. Possibly the best I've ever had. I swallow the first mouthful and say. Then I immediately take a second and third bite. Good. She smiles and takes a bite of her own omelette. I rake in half a bowl of omelette in one go. Afterwards, we finish our meal and chat amicably. Thanks for the food. I'm motivated now. Thanks to this omelette, I think I'll be able to draw a bit more today. Maybe the spell really works. I can't wait to get to work now. Good luck. Konata says this and opens her hands towards me and makes a pose as if she is sending power through her hands. I'll work harder, and when I've finished the storyboard. Why don't you face what you're running away from? I almost say something like that, but I stop myself mid-sentence. Do I have the right to say such a thing? I have only recently learned her name and I don't think I should be so brazen as to intrude into her private life. Well, I am still in the process of having my private space invaded by this person in the form of confinement. But that doesn't mean I can step into her mind in return. That's another story. Konata is still listening. No, nothing. Anyway, I'll work on the storyboard. I swallow those words and say the latter with a wry smile. Is that so? Konata gives a small nod and walks out of the room with the empty plate. First concentrate on the storyboard in front of me. If I want to propose something to her, at least finish the storyboard first. Right now I'm still a nobody. At the very least, If I can't decide on a storyboard that I can proudly present as a manga artist, I can't have confidence in my own works. Confinement, Day 19. In the spectacle village where I came to hear that if I ate a red beret I could become a super mangaka, I was given a poisoned green beret. Tea. But the green beret was actually a 1 UP beret, which split and merged with me to become a complete person. Up. The face with glasses was hard to distinguish. It was like seeing a person doing face swap tricks infinitely, just like the ones that usually appeared in dark-themed anime. Wake up. NN. My body reacts with a jolt to the loud noise echoing in my ear canal. AA. Good morning. I raise my upper body with a sleepy look on my face. I feel like I've been dreaming of something amazing. It's still night time. I thought it would be better not to wake you, but you weren't breathing. Konata says apologetically. Apnea syndrome? I see. I thought I was going to take a little nap, but I must have slept robustly. I scratch my head. I made progress on the manga yesterday and was working on it until dawn, so it's a reaction to that. I'm glad you're okay. Konata exhales with relief. I'm sorry for making you worry. I mean, you're wearing plain clothes today. I roll my eyes. Her top is a black v-neck cut and sewn. There is a picture of a goat printed on the chest. It's a goat, but not one of those cute ones you see in picture books or cartoons for young children. It's a realistic goat. The horns are egregious and the eyes are scary. The skirt underneath is also black. It is a checked skirt, but it is subtle and transparent, like a lace fabric, making it difficult to look at. She has black belt-shaped accessories on her neck, right wrist and left thigh. In other words, she is dressed entirely in black. She looks as if she is going to a death metal band gig or a goth meeting. Or she looks like a witch just before a Sabbath. I guess she has a taste for this type of thing. Thinking back, this is the first time I've seen her in civilian clothes. It's a fresh feeling. I had to go out for a bit today. Konata says, with a straight face. Oh, is that so? Where have you been? That's... I can't tell. She puts her left index finger to her lips and says mischievously, Oh, yeah, there's something on your collar. Is it rubbish? I point to the back of her neck. I wonder what it is. It's a piece of white thread. What? She runs her hand around the back of her neck. Eventually, her fingers probe for something that looks like thread. The moment she picks it up and moves her head to see what the trash is, she runs out of the room as fast as she can and closes the door with a bang. I only saw it for a moment, but that was a price tag, wasn't it? So, could it be that she went out of her way to buy that plain clothes to show me? I see her off in a daze and think about such things. Of course, I may be just being self-conscious. But if my guess is right, I'll be very happy. A few minutes later, Konata returns with an indifferent look on her face. How is it? Did you get the tag off? There's no such thing. She replies with a bite. No, then why did you rush out of the room? I was just going to get this. She thrusts out something that she has hidden behind her back. It is a tool that looks like a two-wheeled tire with a single stick through it. Abdominal muscle roller? Yes. I train sometimes. Konata takes one look at my body after saying that. Ah, yeah. I'm trying to keep my body from getting too tired. I thought it would be more efficient if I had some tools, but you went to the trouble of buying them for me. Here, I'll give it to you. Thanks. I'll use it right away. I take the abdominal roller offered to me. I kneel on the floor and hold the handle. Then I put the wheel part on the ground, while assuming a push-up-like posture as a starting position. Continuing to extend my body forward, I hold the rolled-out pose, then return to my starting position. Oh, they feel good. It feels like there is more force applied to the whole body than a normal sit-up. I went forward and back a few times, and when my body is warming up, I suddenly feel a weight on my back. Why are you sitting on me? I ask, holding on to the roller. Help with training. A cold voice descends from above. My inversely heated back. Tingling irritation in the neck and arse area. Oh wow. Ah, but it feels a bit nice. Can fake nails be used as weapons? Are you angry? I'm not angry. Well, that's good. I feel a bad omen if I pursue it further, so I continue to work out in silence. In the end, Konata didn't move off my back until I reached my physical limit and crumpled to the floor. Incidentally, that day's dinner was accompanied by protein. On the other hand, I found out that it is true that they support muscle training. Confinement, Day 20. I continue to work on my manga. Naturally, I don't forget to practice drawing at the same time. When I get stuck on a name, I asked Konata to help me with my sketches, both to take a break and to improve my drawing skills. It's about time I run out of patterns for my sketches. It has been more than half a month since I started drawing her. I've already tried most of the different ways of looking at it, from the front, to the side, to the back, from standing to sitting. Then how about this? Saying this, she lies down on my futon. No, that's where I sleep. I rush in unintentionally. I worry that my body odor has seeped in, even though she changes the sheets for me every now and then. I wonder if it stinks. Do you want to sleep with me? She beckons me over with lightly clenched fists, as if imitating a cat. Nice jest. At first we could only have simple conversations, but now we can even crack a joke. I won't mind trading your futon for my sleeping bag. I giggle and reply, that's not good enough. Sleeping on a JK's used sleeping bag is a bit perverted. If it smells good, I'm going to be in agony, and if it smells bad, I'm going to be disillusioned. Then give it up and draw it. Well, it's a new pose for sure. I give up on my futon and face the drawing tablet. But it's still embarrassing. As if to drown my embarrassment, I reach for the nearest cup of barley tea. Goku Goku go. Geiho, geiho, geiho. Discomfort in my throat. Coughing, I reflexively held my mouth with my two hands. Hey, are you alright? Kiho, kiho. I'm fine, it just went down my windpipe. I reply back while wiping my mouth with the hem of my shirt and resume my drawing. No, I am trying to resume but... Hiku, hiku, hiku. Dumb sounds leaking involuntarily from my throat. Hiccups. Looks like it. Hiku. This is troubling. My hand, hiku. It's shaking and hard to draw. Hiku first. I have to stop it. The spasmodic twitching of the diaphragm, which I cannot control, distorts the lines. Close your eyes, she says with a serious expression. What? Why? Just close them. Konata repeats in a tone of voice that refuses to give an answer. You. I close my eyes as Konata told me to. The situation suggests that she is trying to do something about my hiccups. Is the thing she's trying to do that odd that she asks me to close my eyes? Is she trying to surprise me, perhaps? What is she going to do to me? No way, is it a kiss? Nah, it can't be. I've been reading too many romantic comedy manga. Haha. The moment I laugh my heart out at the pink fantasy in my brain, I feel a thump in my chest. My body tilts backwards and I feel pain in the back of my head. A moment later, breathing stops. I can't breathe. I try to move my arms and legs, but for some reason I can't get any strength. Are my joints being held down? N. I open my eyes. Her bloodshot eyes are right in front of me. A brown cloth enters the corner of my vision. My nose and mouth are blocked by a pillow. I feel my life is in danger. I now remember my position of being locked up. But there is nothing I can do when I remember it. My consciousness is fading away. Is it all over now? The moment I am about to give up, she suddenly releases me. What are you doing all of a sudden? I raise my upper body with my arms. Well, I heard that for hiccups, it's good to startle and hold your breath. So I thought it might be more effective if I did both at once. Konata backs away as if a little frightened. Is that so? Hiku. No luck. Hiku. Suddenly the sound coming from the world disappears. Konata's slender fingers fit snugly in my bilateral ear holes. I'm going to get brain chewed. What now? I grab Konata's arm softly and move it out of the way to release the forced earplugs. There is also a way to stimulate the vagus nerve behind the ear, she says with a puzzled look on her face. Why, yeah. I know you're doing this for me, But next time could you explain it to me beforehand? It's bad for my heart. Okay. So, how are the hiccups? Oh, they've stopped. I gasp and rub my throat. A radical approach, but it certainly seems to have worked. Then resume drawing. I pick up the drawing tablet again. In many ways, it is a stimulating drawing session. Confinement, Day 21. What is your favorite dish? While eating pasta for lunch, Konata suddenly asks such a question. I guess Kentucky Fried Chicken. I answered immediately. I knew the question about what I wanted to eat today was coming. But my mischievousness got the better of me and I gave such a teasing answer. To be honest, I feel that I'm getting a little bit tired of her cooking. It's been a while since she started cooking here, so she doesn't have a lot of repertoire. But more than that, I want to see her various expressions. I'll go and order some. No, I was just joke. Before I could finish my talk, Konata quickly becomes expressionless and stands up from her seat. Even though we are in the middle of eating, this person does not come straight back to the room. She is clearly in a bad mood. Does she take it as a sign that I am dissatisfied with her cooking? I didn't mean it that way at all. I've done something unnecessary. With regret, I quickly finish my meal. Facing the drawing tablet, I am trying to work on the manga, but I can't get much done. I did some muscle training for a change, picked up the rubbish in the room by hand, and time passes so fast while I am distracting myself. Pin-pon. The sound of a doorbell reaches my ears as I repeatedly draw and erase lines. I feel my body tremble. I wondered who it is. It can't be that, right? I think for a moment and a conclusion pops into my head. It must be the delivery person that comes after she ordered what I asked earlier. Eventually, as you may imagine, the door opens. Supper, Konata says in a cold tone. Gan. And the tray is placed on the floor forcefully. There, as ordered, is a set of fried chicken and fries. As an added bonus, the supplement toppings that I no longer miss are back. Konata leaves the room once and returns with another tray. As usual, she sits in front of me, but I sense a definite protest in the way her body is turned sideways. I take a bite of the fried chicken. It's quite tasty. It's my favorite food, so it's no surprise. This straightforward, mouth-watering junk food is something that is not easy to replicate at home. But if I look too happy, I would feel sorry for Konata, so I am trying my best to keep a blank expression on my face. Yes. This is the taste. I want to get her in a good mood somehow, but since I'm the one who asked for it, I can't say it's not good, so I end up with such a subtle impression. I'm speaking like a Coke that's run out of carbonation. Then she turns another 90 degrees and turns her back completely. But, you know, it tastes good sometimes, but it's no match for someone's hearty home-cooked meal. I mutter so with a deliberate tone. You don't have to say so, she says sulkily. However, her body rotates 90 degrees again and returns to a sideways position. Does she need another push? No, I'm serious. I'd like to have a home-cooked meal from you tomorrow. You know, like curry, fried rice. Having said that, I will make a list of some menus that seem relatively easy to prepare even for a novice cook. I hear that packed food is good these days. I stuff a mouthful of fries into my mouth and my cheeks puff up like a squirrel. I do this deliberately, as Konata's eating manners are usually quite refined. Sorry. It was just meant to be a joke. I don't have any complaints about your food. I confess so honestly. I'll forgive you if you draw me. Konata turns to face me and sips her drink from a paper cup through a straw before saying it. Thank goodness. But wouldn't it be the same as usual if I just draw you this way? It is no longer my routine to sketch her. Then, how about coloring it? I take a bite of a piece of the fried chicken, look up and say, that's a good idea. I nod. I would prefer to be nude, but that's impossible. I think for a moment and then say it. It is expected. I have not yet reached a state of selflessness that would allow me to draw nude drawings without impure thoughts. If I don't have the mental strength not to erect on a nudist beach, I am not qualified to draw naked JKs. It is quite unfortunate. Is that so? Her lips pout a little regretfully. The drawing I do after dinner is better than usual. I'm sorry for Konata, but it is a good stimulus for me to see a different expression from her usual one. Confinement, Day 22. The intimacy between me and Konata has definitely increased. Subjectively, yes, and not only that, there is also objective evidence. This is because the chain that used to just barely reach the door dividing the living room and dining room has now been extended to a length that allows me to go to the bathroom alone. If this is not a sign of her trust in me, I don't know what is. Anyway, I have gained the freedom to go to the toilet, but I still can't let my guard down. Like yesterday, a sudden incident could spoil her mood. It would be foolish to cause a strange accident and damage the relationship of trust between me and her, even though the confinement is gradually loosening. So I have to enforce the rule of calling out to her outside the room when I go to the toilet. It came too sudden. The sensation comes unexpectedly while I am working on the drawing tablet. A sensation of a grueling movement in my lower abdomen. When I did the small one earlier, I didn't feel anything, but now it comes so suddenly. My bowel movements have been in a good rhythm lately, thanks to the healthy home-cooked food, but it may be because I ate junk food yesterday. This is what I deserve, isn't it? Shit. The name's stuck in the right place, but this one's going to come out. With this unfathomable frustration, I put down my pen and run to the door. I'm going to the toilet, I say quickly. Declaring on going to the toilet is pathetic. It looks like I'm acting like a preschool child, but it's also a matter of self-preservation. She's unresponsive. Usually, I would hear her police voice, saying either, okay, or, go ahead, but only today I don't hear her reply. Toilet. Can I go? I repeat in a low voice. I waited for a few seconds, but still no response. I'm at the end of my rope. I'm going to the toilet. I shout, open the door and rush into the toilet. Safi. I breathe out loudly. It is not only the freedom from physical pain that is said to be the supreme pleasure of defecation. The happiness of having one's human dignity protected also satisfies the spirit. I leave the toilet, savoring such a state of enlightenment. It's not over yet. Even washing my hands is a satisfaction. By washing away the residue of impurity with soapy soap and water, I can feel as if I am a perfect idol who never poops. The feeling of cleanliness is 50% greater than what the companies advertise. With this in mind, I put my hand on the door leading to the bathroom. As it turns out, there is a visitor ahead of me. Our eyes meet. She is on her way to pull down her skirt. Her black bra and panties burn into my retinas. Oh, sorry. I went to the toilet and had to wash my hands. I'll be right out. I close my eyes and turn around. Wait. A moment later, I feel a tug on my shoulder, holding me back in place. Seriously, I'm sorry. You may think I'm lying even though it's like a lucky perverted situation in manga, but it's really just a coincidence. I'll apologize again and again, so please don't stab me. I am desperately trying to explain. I should have guessed that she was about to bathe, since she didn't respond to my call and wasn't in the kitchen. But, as dumb as it sounds, I was so distracted by the feeling of freedom after the toilet that my IQ was momentarily down by about 30. I'm not going to do that. Look at me. Konata says in a slow, calm tone. Okay. With my eyes still closed, I turn 180 degrees. Sounds of clothing rubbing against clothing. Is she wearing her clothes back? Open your eyes. All right. Why are you still in your underwear? Put something on. Or at least put on a bath towel. My prediction is wrong. Earlier, it was the sound of her completely taking off her skirt. Embarrassed? For some reason, she asks this happily. Of course I am. I've never seen a girl in her underwear before. I try to look away from her, feeling even more embarrassed when I put it into words myself. But Konata holds my face with her hands and pins me in place. But in your manga, you used to draw girls in their underwear. Konata tilts her head. Well, I did draw those, but my reference material was underwear catalogs and other two-dimensional drawings. Real women are... I see. Then, do you want to try drawing them? Me in my underwear. Konata says provocatively and poses like a gravure idol, scratching up her hair with his right hand and emphasizing her breasts with her left arm. No, that is indeed a bit. I don't have the confidence to keep looking straight at her in her underwear. Is that so? Konata looks somewhat disappointed and turns her head down. As expected. I'm relieved that she gave up so easily. But it soon changes when Konata continues. Then it can't be helped. I was rejected for a nude drawing yesterday, so I'll have my revenge. She begins to joke around like that. She then puts her fingers on the strap strings of her bra and tries to fluff up the cups. No, you're kidding, right? It's nudity, okay? No lingerie, no money, right? From the confusion, I am uttering unintelligible words. 2 choices. Nude or lingerie, take your pick. Konata puts me through such a relentless choice that she finally starts trying to remove the strap from her shoulder. She is serious. Well, then, just use your underwear. I unintentionally replied so. I had read about it in some online articles. Door in the face. The psychological technique of making a big demand on the assumption that it will be refused and then getting them to agree to a smaller, more serious demand. It can't be helped if such advanced negotiation techniques are practiced. It seems that the only way out is to draw her in her underwear. I mean, that's the only reasonable choice, right? If I'd opted for nudity, she wouldn't really have taken off her underwear, would she? The truth lies in the thicket. After all of that, I wash my hands and go back to my room with her in her underwear. Then I started drawing her lying on the futon without hesitation. At first I was upset and worried that I wouldn't be able to draw. But once I start the drawing, I surprisingly don't mind it. It's like when you see a statue of a nude woman in a museum. You think it's beautiful but you don't get excited. But still, being able to sketch a real JK in her underwear is a very valuable experience, when I think about it. I am not familiar with the law, but if an individual who is not an art college student were to do such a thing, they would normally be arrested. It's a great opportunity, so I have to make the most of it. I can see that the flesh around her stomach when she lies down is not just concave and hollow. It's more subtle, more mountainous, and softer. There are many new discoveries in her body that cannot be found just by looking at two-dimensional pictures. Even though there are a lot of manga artists, not many of them practice drawing with real models, as I am doing now. Thinking about it, I feel a little more confident in my own drawings. Confinement, Day 23. Thanks for the food. It was delicious again today. We finish our elegant breakfast of French toast and consommé soup. We clap our hands. Osamatsu Zama. Konata smiles at my plate of finished food and leaves the room. What should I do? I'm full and I'm getting sleepy. I'll take a light nap and then start back. I lie down on the futon. I close my eyes. I am thinking vaguely about the name and slowly drifting off to sleep. Mozozozozozo. Whoa. I feel a tickling sensation on my arm and I get up. I open my eyes and there is a small brown spider. I shake it off. The spider has fallen to the floor and is wandering around aimlessly. Let's get rid of it. I reach out my hand to the spider, take one look at the window and then I realize. I can't do that. I'm locked up. I naturally forgot about it. Isn't it bad that I'm getting too used to this abnormal environment? Bloodlust. Thinking about it calmly, I'm in a pretty bad mental state right now, aren't I? It is true that my relationship of trust with Konata is deepening day by day. My living environment is improving and I don't feel the urgent need to escape right now. But after exploring the possibility of escape on about the 2nd day of my confinement, I haven't made a single effort to escape until now. This is indeed not good enough. Alright. Let's get serious about planning an escape plan for a bit today. I think to myself. I knew desk work would stiffen my shoulders. First, I decide to test the limits of my chain length by pretending to do exercises. I'm going for the window, under the guise of training for thigh raises. I still can't do it. I still can't reach the window. Although the chains are longer than they were when I was first locked up, they need to be twice as long as they are now for me to reach the window. The front door, needless to say. In the direction of the front door, I am currently unable to even try to escape, as she is near the kitchen. But to begin with, the chain is only just long enough to reach the toilet and the bathroom next to it, so there is no need to try. If so, breaking the chains is indeed impossible. There are no tools in this room that can break a strong chain. Even if I smash it on the floor or wall, or somehow get a spoon or a fork and crunch it, the sound would alert her to my activity. If so, should I shout? This is a move I've considered before, but it's still no good to do it here either. Suppose my voice reaches my neighbor and he is lucky enough to call the police. If a policeman came to my room, she would probably take out a kitchen knife, which she hasn't been using for a while, and threaten me. If she gets impatient with her clumsy fingers, she may chop me up like a clumsy zombie rabbit apple one day. If the police raid the room after she stabs me, they'll make her a criminal. That's the first and foremost reason for rejecting the loud proposal. Come to think of it, the timing when Konata went shopping for clothes was the biggest chance. I let out a sigh. Of course, Konata must have seen that I was sleeping very soundly and went out shopping, so I guess I had no chance after all. That's all I have, right? If Konata goes out again at some point, I'll try a few things then. Having her around makes it impossible to escape on my own at this time, and I choose to patiently wait. In the end, I have to wait for Konata to change her mind and stop locking me up. I harbor such vague hopes. If so, is it still wise to turn her attention outwards? She seems to be having school-related problems, and it would be good if I could make it easier for her. To that end, what I should be concentrating on right now is manga. My thinking leads to the same conclusion as 10 days ago, with no progress. But there are some differences from before. The storyboard is steadily approaching completion. I have a feeling that 80% of it is done. But there is a bottleneck in the development of the climax and I just can't get to the end. It's frustrating. When this name is finished, I'll be brave enough to get out of here. I'm so close to getting it done. My consciousness is drifting away from the escape plan and I am once again paddling out into the vast ocean of creativity. This is the outline of my realistic escape plan on the 23rd day of my confinement. Thinking back, I had already lost my mind since then. Because it's impossible, isn't it? How could I be more reluctant to turn her into a criminal than to hurt myself? But at that time, I didn't have any particular discomfort with that thought. Of course, in hindsight, there were plenty of ways to do more. I had already recovered enough strength, so I could have just held her down by force and run away. For example, if I had told her that I wanted to do a drawing of her backside, created an opening and bound her hands and feet with chains, it would have been easy to launch a counteroffensive. If not, I could have taken a full nap during the day and waited for her to fall asleep before attacking her. With the length of the chains on the 23rd day of confinement, even such a maneuver should have been possible. But such violent measures never even cross my mind. That, more than anything else, is proof that, unconsciously, even my mind is controlled by her. At that time, I must have literally become her captive. Confinement, day 24. I'm out of ideas. He who has gone 100 miles is halfway to 90. Even if I quote the proverbs and pretend to be clever, new ideas won't come. I put down my pen and begin to squat silently. An erotic alien said to the hero, "Give me the most erotic person on Earth, or I will blow up the whole planet." And the protagonist was chosen as Earth's representative. He solved the difficult problems posed by the erotic aliens with his own delusional powers. So far, so good. The problem is the climax. The final test was to show the erotic aliens that you are in heat. However, the last boss, an erotic alien, was so ugly looking that even the protagonist, who had a mass of troubles, was turned off by their appearance. They had the appearance of an evil god who would pinch your san value if you looked directly at them, and a rotten smell that made you want to vomit. How is the hero going to get through this difficult situation? I kept worrying while doing sit-ups. I mean, it's kind of like a routine to do muscle training when I'm stuck. Before I was locked up, it wasn't like that at all. When it came to relaxing myself, I would read other manga, play games, or even if I did move my body, at most I would go for a walk to the local convenience store to buy some groceries. I hated exercise and never thought about muscle training. But what about now? I am exercising my body as easily as I breathe. Food. In the meantime, Konata brings me lunch. Oh, okay. That's a pretty healthy lunch today. I stop my muscle training and sit down on the floor. Brown rice and calcium-rich masashi, boiled spinach and vegetable soup. Masashi is a dried fish product. It is several small fish, such as sardines, anchovies, or round herrings, that are held together by a bamboo skewer or a piece of straw that has been passed through their eyes to their jaws after they have been salted and dried. It is normally grilled before eating. The menu looks as if it had been devised by some health appliance manufacturer. Last night's dinner was a little too calorie-dense. The tray is placed on top of a cardboard box and a thoughtful tilt of her head is seen. Tonkatsu? That one was good, but I am feeling a little less hungry now, so I appreciate something as light as this. Okay. Chew your food well. It's better for your digestion. I will. I finish my lunch while slowly chewing it. Then, while sipping the green tea that she brewed for me, I face the drawing tablet again. But it still doesn't give me any ideas. But when I think about it, it's an extravagant problem, isn't it? Just a month ago, I was sick of even hearing the word manga. Even though I'm stuck with the development, just the fact that I've been able to draw the story so far is a miracle for me. It's all thanks to Konata that I've made it this far, isn't it? If I had been alone, would I have been able to recover from the situation I'm in now? No, it would be impossible. I decided to escape from everything, but if I had lived alone normally, I would have ended up still indulging in drinking and smoking. Even if I had been able to abstain from them, I would have relied on convenience foods or store-bought food for my meals. It is easy to imagine that I would have eaten whatever I wanted and as much as I wanted, or at least would have had a more unhealthy diet than I do now. Not just physically. Mentally, being locked up was a blessing in disguise for my creative work. Being placed in an environment without the internet means that I have no distractions while working. Of course, I can't go out and make excuses to myself to do this or that. My escape route is physically and mentally blocked, and I am forced to face the manga, whether I want to or not. It's strange to feel this way about Konata, who has locked me up without my permission. Even though it's strange, imprisonment is a fine crime. As a good citizen, I should not allow it to happen. Rather, I should hate it. Even though I know that in theory, it is an undeniable fact that what fills my heart at the moment is gratitude towards Konata. Hey. Konata pours a refill of tea into a cup and calls out to me. What? I bring my consciousness back to reality. I was just thinking about her, so I am kind of embarrassed and my voice goes up a bit. If you're free, can I shave your beard? It's been on my mind for a while. Konata says this pointing at my face. Beard? Oh, now you mention it, I've let it grow. I rub my chin, where the stubble hair has grown unchecked. I haven't shaved once since I was locked up, come to think of it. I'm sure that to other people, I'd look rather scruffy. This is, however, not an unusual state of affairs when I get into creative and withdrawn mode, but it may not be okay with high school girls. If you're busy, it doesn't have to be right now. She adds, with reserve. No, now it's fine. Please shave my beard. I say while drinking my cup of tea. Well, I'll go and get my tools. Konata walks out of the room. Section. Sorry to keep you waiting. When she returns, in her left hand is a hot towel and shaving cream, and in her right hand a razor blade. At first glance, it looks like an average shaving set. What? You're going to do it? Are you sure? Shaving can be quite painful if you're not careful. What she is holding in her hand is not a safety razor with a guard. It is a bare blade, like the kind used by barbershop workers. I can do it. Konata says with a meaningful smile. I see. She is never good with knives, but she's confident with razor blades. I have such a question. Well, girls seem to have a hard time getting rid of their unwanted hair and so on. By the looks of it, she has clear skin without even a hair on her face, but behind the scenes she may be making various efforts to maintain her good looks. Well, let's get started. Be gentle to me, please. My mouth is warmed by the towel. The shaving cream foam tickles. It's a mystery, she murmurs. The blade strokes my moustache. The coldness of the metal and the heat of the friction. The opposing sensations create a unique feeling of comfort. What? Distracted, I ask back in a muffled voice like a bad ventriloquist. Sometimes the back of my head feels the soft touch of her breast and I can't really concentrate on the conversation. Unwanted hair grows. Yet it is shunned, hated, and shaved. Everyone tells you to take care of your body, but the unwanted hair is left out. I feel sorry for them. The razor blade, which has already conquered the top of my lips, invades the chin and beard. Konata's tongue is as smooth as the blade. I don't know where the switch is, but she seems to be the type of person who becomes verbose when she is interested in something. I'm more of a geek myself, so I know the feeling. Still, it's a very unique idea. I'm a bit envious that she can have this kind of perspective, because although I work in a creative profession, my sensibilities are more on the side of an average person. In that sense, I'm still lucky with my beard. Sometimes I let it grow because of fashion. Fufu, sometimes it's crueler to be left halfway hopeful. Konata lets out a dry laugh while saying so. Munyu, half of my head is enveloped in the warmth of happiness. Her chin rests on my whiskers, her sweet voice shakes my brain through bone conduction. Well, I see, that's one way to look at it. I say, making a plausible face. While saying that kind of line, you should see first if the man you are talking seriously to have the tendency to have a perverted mind or not. Warning. Sometimes I get confused. How much of me is me and how much of me is not me? To what extent is the hair or the nails that I cut still me? Does it cease to be me the moment I cut it off? Or is it the moment when they are thrown out as rubbish and burned? Sorry. I'm not an educated man, so I don't really understand those difficult philosophical things. I'll be honest and come clean. If I pretend to know it all, she'll soon find out I'm an idiot anyway. It's better not to defend my dignity to death. Fufu, I like that part of your manga. Konata says with a bouncy voice. Are you making fun of me by any chance? I'm not mocking you. Rather, I'm praising you. Shori, shori, shori. Only the quiet sound of Konata moving the razor blade echoes in the room. I don't know why. While being in this situation, what comes to my mind is an image of the deep sea that I saw on TV. Confinement, Day 25. I still can't finish the manga. No matter how much I think about it, I can't come up with a logic for a smelly, gross, erotic alien to be someone's crush. Should I make the protagonist an extreme bee-bitch with a special proclivity for smells? No, that's a cop-out. The protagonist is erotic, but only at a level of sexuality that is acceptable to the average reader. Are you all right? Maybe the food tastes bad. Konata calls out worriedly. Oh, sorry. I was in deep thought. The food is delicious. I reply and hurriedly move my chopsticks. Today's lunch is a set meal of grilled fresh ginger. It's not the best, but it's my favorite. Are you having a hard time with the manga? When Konata says this, she rolls up a slice of cabbage with gingerbread and puts it in her mouth. You know what I've been going through? Because you don't draw me much these days. Konata mutters a little sadly. Ah, that's right. I want to finish it all at once, so I am still thinking about the storyboard. Actually, I got stuck on the last part of the story. I'm really very close to finishing it, but I'm still working on it. I just can't think of a way for the main character to defeat the last boss. I say this and slurp down some Chinese soup with daikon radish to wash the oil out of my mouth. Let me see that manga. Konata puts down her chopsticks and says so, a little nervously. Ah, okay. I think it'll be fine to show you. If you notice anything, I'd be happy if you give me some advice. I say comfortably and indicate my chin at my drawing tablet. At best, it is like a goofy suspense drama, with casual, everyday conversation hopefully providing a hint to break through the situation. Okay. Konata nods and stops her meal. She then moves to the drawing tablet upright and uses her clenched fist for support. Even though I am still working on the story, it is somewhat embarrassing to have my manga being read so close to me. I push such feelings aside and continue to eat with an impassive face. Thinking about it, is it okay to allow JK to read a manga with a protagonist who makes everything look erotic, even things that are not erotic? Wouldn't that be sexual harassment? Well, she said she is a fan of my work, so I guess it's okay. About 10 minutes, I think. When I finish my meal, Konata finishes reading the story and puts down the drawing tablet. She then returns to the front of the room. Thank you for letting me read it. She bows her head after saying so. So, how was it? It was interesting. She smiles, closes her eyes and nods in satisfaction. That's good to hear. Now if only I could think of the last one. I scratch my head. Why did that enemy erotic alien come to Earth in the first place? Ha! I look up. Because if the hero loses the match, the erotic alien is going to blow up the whole planet, right? If that's the case, then she's not trying to invade. Because if she destroys it, she won't be able to use it. If that's the case, I wonder why she came all the way from distant space to Earth. I'm glad that Konata, who is usually a girl of few words, is interested in my work enough to talk about it so much. Indeed, there is too little merit for the erotic alien to fight the protagonist. If the erotic alien just want the pleasure of seeing the Earthlings suffer from their unreasonable demands, there are plenty of other ways to do it. Yes. Then why did the erotic alien want to fight the protagonist? She tilts her head slightly. I hadn't thought about that. I turn over and fold my arms. I was thinking only about the main character and didn't delve into the setting of the final boss. It's a gag manga, so I wasn't concerned about the consistency of the enemy's actions and motives, but it's worth thinking about. Maybe the erotic alien was lonely. Because although she had confronted the most erotic males on various planets, no one could look at the erotic alien with erotic eyes. But I am sure that somewhere in her heart, the erotic alien wanted to lose the contest. That's why she continued her search for erotic males across the entire universe. Konata nods as if she were making an interactive gesture. I see. The erotic alien wanted to be seen as erotic. This is erotic. No matter how far from erotic it looked, the very fact that a female wants to be seen as erotic is erotic. I hit my knees and look up. I finally understand. That's how it is. The erotic alien was not imposing unreasonable demands. She was just looking for an existence that would accept her as a female. That's the last boss's, the erotic alien's, weakness. In other words, the hero's breakthrough. Thank you, Konata. Thanks to this one, I'm about to finish my storyboard. I am so moved that I involuntarily take hold of her hands. Well, it's no big deal. Konata shrinks back and mumbles something in a whisper. Well, I'm sorry. I got excited on my own. I let go in a hurry. It's fine. Konata's cheek dyes red and resumes her meal. Well, now it's your turn. I open my mouth with all my willpower. I think you're having some problems, too. For example, about school. I think it is now or never if I am going to talk to her about her problem. I've been found out. Konata says this and has a strange expression on her face, which can be either weeping or beaming. Yeah. To be honest, I'm not that perceptive, but when I think about why you're basically in uniform all the time, and why you're studying here and all that sort of stuff. As a thank you for helping me with my manga, I'll listen to you if you don't mind talking about it to me. I haven't finished the manga yet, but thanks to her advice, I'm on track. I can use this opportunity to pay her back for kindness. Showing her my unfinished work is as embarrassing for a manga artist as showing her my naked body. Now that I've shown her the story, I think I have the right to step inside her line. I think. Probably. Konata remains still, holding a bowl of tea or a bowl of white rice. Of course, if you don't want to, you don't have to talk. I wave my palms at her. No, I'll talk. I'll talk. I want to talk. Having said this, Konata puts down her cup of tea and drinks just enough to moisten her throat. She straightens her back. It was just a cold that started it all. A cold? Yes. I called in sick to school as usual for the first day or two and, well, a cold usually goes away after that, doesn't it? Yeah. But my cold continued and by the third day the fever had gone down a bit, but I still couldn't go to school. That morning, I had a lot of things to do, like taking out the rubbish and picking up the parcels, and I happened to forget to call the school. She starts to talk about her life in a rambling way. I guess there are things that have accumulated up to now. Her usual reticence to speak seems to be a lie. Well, it happens. Everyone makes careless mistakes. Yes. But even though I didn't call, the school didn't call or anything, and by the 4th day, I didn't have a fever anymore, but my body was feeling a bit lazy, so I didn't know whether to go to school or take another day off just to be safe. She pauses there and starts to chew the cold gingerbread. It's great that you hesitated. If it were me, I'd be skipping without hesitation. To be honest, I felt like skipping too, but somehow I made up my mind. If the school called to confirm my safety, I would go to school even if I was late. You know, like a schoolboy making a wish that if he could just walk home along the white line on the footpath, he'd get 100 marks on his test. It's childish, but when she says this, she bashfully lowers her gaze. No, I sometimes also do things like, if the tissue I throw goes in the bin, I get a heavy print run. Of course, there is no example of the result of such wishful thinking being successful. That's a rather cute way of telling fortunes, but mine was a cowardly way of leaving my decision to a third party. But then, I still didn't hear from them. So, after Saturday and Sunday, on Monday, I decided that I had to go, so I got my bag ready and went to the door. That's good. No, it's not. Because I suddenly thought to myself, if I don't go to school for a few days, no one will worry. No one cares if I go to school or not. I don't have any friends. So why do I go to school in the first place? I don't know anymore. And then, for the life of me, I can't go to school. She says in a mumbled voice, her lips pursed into a straight line. A reason to go to school. Right. The common moonbat opinion is that it's to broaden your future options, or that you can't be a respectable adult unless you've at least finished high school. But, well, I can't really preach to you about being a respectable adult, because I myself chose to be a water boy in the broadest sense of the word, a manga artist. I am surprised at how easily I can call myself a manga artist. Before I know it, I am back to being a manga artist. I can once again identify myself as a manga artist, even if I have no series now and still call myself one. Being a mangaka is a respectable profession, but I don't have anything I want to do, and my family probably has enough money for me to live without working for the rest of my life if I don't do extravagant things. So those common reasons don't really resonate with me. Of course, I know in my head that it's an extravagant worry. No, you don't have to worry so much about it. It is not the child's responsibility to be born into a rich family. I think children have the right to use the environment they've been given to their advantage to the best of their ability. It's up to the parents to bring them into this world, so they should use what they can. I don't think so. Konata blinks quickly and smiles vaguely. Yes, I do. But, I'm not familiar with this school, but usually, if you've been absent for a week, your guardian will be contacted. I say with one elbow on the cardboard and a cane on my cheek. It is a little hard to imagine that a rich young ladies' school will be so indifferent to its students. I think they've probably been contacted. It's possible that as early as the 3rd day, my parents' phone could have received a call from a teacher. So, I'm sure that person could have made some random excuse, like it's a family situation or something like that, that would make it harder for the school to step in. That person? Because my mother doesn't come home very often. We don't have the same rhythm of life. Konata mutters in a cold tone. I see. I nod and speak in a neutral tone, neither confirming nor denying. I am quite curious about her family environment, but it seems she didn't want to talk about it anymore as she was about to end the conversation, so I don't pursue it further. But when I asked about guardians, Konata only mentioned her mother. Does this mean that Konata is more estranged from his father than she is from her mother, who doesn't come home very often? Oh, but don't get me wrong. I want to go to school now, not because it's logical or anything, but because I want to. You see, raindrops are not as free as you think they are. But if they get lost in the river, one day they'll find their way to the sea. That's a line from one of my manga. You really are a real fan. I beam with embarrassment. You had your doubts. Konata puffs out her cheeks in a bit of frustration. I know that there are female readers, but I didn't expect to have such a beautiful girl like JK as a fan. But if my manga can make her feel positive, I'd be very happy about that. No, I wasn't doubting you, but I had a series in a manga magazine aimed at men. Sorry, go on. I stick out my right hand and urge her to go on. Okay. It's funny, but when I decided to go to school, I suddenly became afraid of what other people would think of me. I wondered what would happen if I was approached by neighbors, or how my classmates would look at me. I stopped going to school because I didn't want anyone to care about me, but now I'm afraid that someone will care about me. The more I procrastinate, the more scared I get. I pick up the cabbage with my chopsticks, lift it halfway up and put it back on the plate again. I see. I think I know that feeling a bit. For me, it's not school, it's comics. If I don't draw one day, I feel much heavier the next day. It's not simply double. It's more like a cumulative or exponential increase in the amount of work I have to do. Sorry. It was a bit vain. Since Konata is studying mathematics, I thought it was embarrassing for an adult not to know anything, so I tried to say something like that. I look down and say in a slightly joking tone, trying to soften the heavy atmosphere. Fufu, why are you competing? My first steps are slower than anyone else's because I go further than anyone else. She says self-mockingly. Konata, I know you're a fan, so stop quoting from my manga. It's kind of embarrassing. I cover my face with my hands. Really? But it's cool. Konata mutters in a slightly dissatisfied tone. Anyway, if Konata is willing to go to school now, please give it a go. Of course, I'm not a teacher or a psychiatrist, so I can't give much advice, but if there's anything I can do to help you go to school, let me help. No need. That's as good as it gets. You have your manga that needs to be finished. Konata shakes her head sideways. It's a thank you for helping me come up with the idea for the manga. Or, a fan service. Sort of. I say in a light tone so that she doesn't have to worry. Are you serious? She asks probingly. Yes. I'd love to return the favor. I nod deeply. Then. So, for rehabilitation, can you come with me for a mock class exercise? Konata asks with a look of strength in her brow. Okay. Let's see, should I play the role of a classmate? I think it's a bit difficult to play the role of teacher. Brain-wise. Well, I'm already an adult, but playing the role of a high school student, that's weird. But I'm still in my 20s, and I should be just barely old enough to be considered a youth, right? I have a rather childish face. I tell myself that. Well, you'll play as a classmate. Konata mutters. In the end, I am taken aback. What would the subject for the class be? English or music? Why are you considering those subjects? English, because we have to read the textbook aloud in pairs, and music, because we have to do ensembles. I'm not particularly good at subjects that are done in groups. Konata says, busily moving her chopsticks and clearing away the rest of her meal. I see. If it's a choice between those two, I'd choose music. I'm not very good at music either, but I don't think I can do English at all. Well, first you need to change your clothes. Well, reality is important. But do you have school uniforms or something ready? My uniform. I'll lend you my winter uniform. It might be a bit hot. Konata's uniform? Me. I can't believe my ears, and I can't help but confirm this. Yes. If possible. Well, I may look like this, but I'm still a man. My school, it's an all-girls school. Konata says, a little awkwardly. The reason is irrefutable and irresistible. As the practice is to attend an all-girls school, it is only natural that it should be practiced with female classmates. I see. I understand. Let's put on our uniforms. I nod, clenching my fists tightly. I can't say I don't want to now. This is also for Konata. I will bear it sweetly. Thank you. For the time being, I'll clear the dishes. Konata lowers the tray of food and brings her uniform. Then she goes out of the room and a rustling sound is heard. Perhaps she is looking for some equipment for her music lessons. Meanwhile, I put on her uniform. I seem to manage to fit it on. Of course, I can only button the shirt about 2 buttons down and the waist area is a bit tight, so the zipper on my skirt is half open. If I were a high school girl, I'd be half a slut. She smells kind of nice. Of course, I know it's probably the smell of detergent or fabric softener, but when I think it is from the uniform I am wearing, I almost feel weird. Hello. Nice to meet you. She opens the door and walks into the room, bowing to me. She holds what looks like a guitar case about 2 sizes smaller on her chest. Apparently, practice has already begun. I mean, does Konata speak honorifics to her classmates too? It's nice to meet you too. I've just transferred from a public school, so I'm not used to this school. So I might cause you a lot of trouble. Please tolerate it. I stand up and slightly raise one hand in response. I have no idea what's going on at Ojusama's school. So, I'm going to go with the setting of I am a commoner who has suddenly transferred to an Ojusama school. Don't worry, it will be fine. I'm also not good with my hand and we don't have much time before the presentation, so do you want to practice? Sure. Then. She puts the case on the floor and opens it. I roll my eyes at the instrument that comes out from inside. Violin. When Konata says music lessons, I imagined at most an altricorder or something like a pianica, but you know what? It's an Ojusama's school, isn't it? So this is what happens. Well, I've been so busy moving that I haven't bought an instrument yet. So I'll just use my voice. That's what I decided. Okay. Then I'll accompany you. Konata nods her head and begins to play the violin. I don't know if Konata is better or worse than the average student at Sakuraba High School, but I've heard that it's difficult to even make a sound on the violin, and from the way she can play without interruption, she doesn't seem to be an absolute beginner. I mean, this intro. Isn't this the opening song of my animated film? Is it possible to have anime songs in class? It's for beginners, and it's standard practice to do songs like Ghibli and Disney animation. Konata looks puzzled and says, well, if it's Ghibli or Disney, then yes. I smile wryly. Sure, they are in the same animation category, but mine doesn't look like it had any chance at all of winning an Oscar. Konata is looking at me with crazy expectant eyes. Needless to say, just because I'm the author of the original film doesn't mean I can sing the OP well. But I give in to her shining eyes. On the page I tore up, I scribbled a map. I put it away in my pocket and forgot about it. I raise my voice as best I can. What if the neighbors complain? Konata continues to play the violin, occasionally nodding her head in satisfaction, despite my concerns. I put strength into my belly in response. In the end, the class lasted exactly 50 minutes. In the end, I even had to sing the ending song, which left me physically and mentally exhausted. So, did it help a bit? I ask, rubbing my throat. Yuan. Thanks. I feel better. Konata replied, putting the violin back in its case. That's good. I smile naturally. I wonder if this was really practice for going to school. To be honest, I can't help but think about that. But since she seemed to be having so much fun, I'll let that be enough for now. Can I ask you to come along to practice with me again sometime? Sure. I'll finish my manga tomorrow so that I can help you whenever you want to practice. I declare this and face the drawing tablet. I feel tired, but I feel good. I had a feeling that I would be able to make progress on the last spurt of the story. Confinement, Day 26. Thank you for the food. After finishing a simple brunch of toast and fried eggs, I put my hands together. Isamatsu-sama. Then, I'll take it now. Isamatsu-sama can literally be translated as it was a lousy meal. In Asian countries, you say this to someone who just expressed gratitude to you for the meal you served, and in return you express your humbleness and modesty. Yes. Today is kind of a busy day for you. Usually we have a bit of a chat after dinner, but today Konata is somewhat impatient. Was it too loud? You said the manga was going to be finished by the end of the day, so I thought I'd have to prepare a special luxury menu for the celebrations. I've been doing a lot of prep work for that. Konata speaks very quickly. She seems to be very tense. I don't think it was too noisy, but I think I heard rustling in the kitchen in the morning. Ah. It was. Thanks. Sure, I'm supposed to finish the manga today, but if I don't get it done in time, I'll feel kind of bad. Is that so? But if you don't finish it, a celebration is still a celebration, isn't it? Konata tilts her head slightly as she lifts the tray. Why? Ha! Because it's your birthday today. Unbelievable. I then say, with my eyes widening. I see. Come to think of it, it's my birthday today. I am astonished. Apparently, I was so absorbed in my manga that I forgot my own birthday. So anyway, congratulations. Thank you. Well, then, it's not so bad either way. I nod with a smile and a chuckle. Although, it won't be cool if the storyboard isn't finished here. The manga is now in the finishing stage. I slap my cheeks to get back into the swing of things. I pen the last scene. I review the detailed dialogue and the direction of the spread, and read it through again from the beginning. Okay. It's done. Finally I did it. I put down the pen. I then stretch like I'm doing a big banzai. As if in perfect timing, I heard the chimes of the sun has set on a distant mountain from far away. It is already evening. I stand up and walk unsteadily towards the door. Konata, it's finished. The manga. I pull the doorknob a little and poke my head out from the gap while saying so. Good. I will be ready in less than 10 minutes, so just wait a little longer. In her hand is a pepper mill. On the chopping board, an expensive-looking piece of lean beef is now waiting to be cooked. Okay. I nod and return to my room. I haven't even had a drink, but for some reason I feel like I am in a daze. Creating a manga is painful, but the sense of accomplishment when one's work is done is somewhat euphoric. Here you go. Soon after, Konata appears with a tray. A steak with an appetizing aroma of garlic, a sliced baguette with cheese on top, a salad and corn soup, and strawberry shortcake. She arranged the food in an orderly fashion on the cardboard table. The mismatched combination of a splendid dinner on a shabby piece of cardboard is somewhat amusing. Thanks for cooking. Yeah. Happy birthday and congratulations for the completion of your manga. She clapped her hands and said so. I clap modestly along with her. Thanks. So, you know. I say and then clam up a little. What is it? Well, I mean, if possible since it's a celebration, I'd like you to be in civilian clothes, not a uniform. I finally conveyed my request, while looking at Konata. Konata's eyes widened. It's just that, you're always in uniform, so I feel more special if you were in your plain clothes. Can you do it? I say, glancing at her expression with a sideways glance. I can. I'll change now. Immediately. Konata hums and skips out of the room. When she eventually returns, her appearance in plain clothes is more than I expected. Her body is not wrapped in the black, witchy clothes she wore before. It is a white, neat and clean dress. It is the kind of outfit that would not look out of place at all if she were having dinner in a high-class hotel restaurant. I didn't know you had that kind of dress. Well, I am an Oju-sama. Sitting sideways on the floor, she puffs her chest out with a bit of pride. It looks good on you. What are you talking about out of the blue? Come on, eat your meat before it gets cold. Konata averts her gaze shyly and picks up a knife and fork. At the beginning of my captivity, I would have been wary of this woman holding a tool that could have been a deadly weapon, but now I have no such feelings at all. Okay. Itadakimasu. I have a knife and fork too. The meat is lean but not stringy, so the knife goes in smoothly. I stab it with the fork and put it in my mouth. It's delicious. The seasoning is simple, just salt and pepper, but it's good. I can feel the muscles around my mouth relax. The only regret is that, if you mistake, I have red wine, chilled though. Konata says, as if she had anticipated my thoughts. Are you sure? It's a celebration. But, you can't drink too much, just a half bottle. She holds up her index finger. You're very thorough. I mean, how could you buy it when you're underage? Because it's your card that has your name. I see. I forgot. We laugh at each other. The time passes quickly and the plate in front of us is empty. A relaxed atmosphere begins to flow between the two of us. Can I see your finished manga? Konata suddenly opens her mouth. Sure. Konata walks towards the drawing tablet. Thank you. You're welcome. I wait for her, tipping my glass of red wine, which is still a third full, quietly. Eventually, she looks up from the tablet and says, It's perfect. She mumbled. I don't know if it's perfect, but at least I can't come up with anything better than what I've got now. Please wait a minute. Konata walks out of the room and soon returns again. In her hand is unmistakably my smartphone. Here you go. She slowly offers it to me. Can I? Yap. Okay. Short exchange of replies. Nevertheless, her feelings are conveyed. I receive the phone with both hands. Good. Now I can submit my story to the editor. I too have to report back. Konata says this again, straightens her back and sits upright. What is it? I'm going to school tomorrow. She may be silent at the start, but she firmly states her intentions. I see. Congratulations. I say gently. It feels like a lie to praise her so grandly now, with all these words. Thanks. So, if I'm away from home for a long time, I can't deal with anything if there's an emergency. So, Konata walks over to me and bends over. She has a fluffy, flowery scent. You'd be better off without it. Konata smiles a little sadly and inserts a dull, dark-colored key, which she pulls out of nowhere, into my choker. Gatchan. The chain falls to the floor. My heart is filled with 70% relief, 20% joy and 10% sadness. I've always wondered, but now I know. The reason why Konata has been locking me up. It is also I could get back on my feet as a mangaka. Go on, then. I smile at her, rubbing my neck. I'm a bit too nervous going to school tomorrow. She purses her lips cutely. Well, yeah. But I'll probably still be asleep by the time you leave. So, come home early and put a leash on me again, will you? I'm afraid I'm going to get corrupted pretty quickly if I'm alone. I say jokingly. Okay, I'll be back as soon as I can, so get plenty of rest. I'm going to have a good night's sleep. I'm a bit tipsy. Good night. Yeah, good night. We say our good night with a smile. Thus, I have grown another year older, and the warped and tortuous relationship with Konata, which was connected by confinement, has come to an end. What name should I give to our new relationship now? I don't know yet. She takes the tray for two and starts washing up in the kitchen. I transfer the manga from my tablet to my phone and send it to my editor. I then proudly make my way to the washroom and quickly brush my teeth. I crawled under the futon. Drowsiness came quickly. Confinement, day 27. When I wake up, it is already past 10 o'clock in the morning. Konata is not here, as I expected. On a cardboard box is a simple note: there is breakfast in the fridge. I stagger to the kitchen and open the fridge. Inside are 2 rice balls and a plate of fried eggs, covered with saran wrap. I pour a cup of barley tea and put the plate on its usual tray. Okaka kombu. Omelette is the salty type. Okaka is a type of seasoning, kombu is kelp, and the omelette is tamagoyaki. After slowly finishing breakfast, washing my face, brushing my teeth, taking a shower and generally freshening up, I don't have much to do. Oh, I forgot to write yesterday's diary. I remember and start up the drawing tablet. Idea notepad, and I opened a file with a disguised title. Let's see, day 26 of confinement and, wait a minute. I write that much and stop the pen. Without thinking, I assumed that it was the 26th day of my confinement, but is this title appropriate? I am no longer in confinement. Well, it's okay. It's important to be consistent. I decided to do so at random. I mean, didn't I start keeping this diary in the first place so that I wouldn't lose my sense of time during my confinement? If so, can I stop now? But, well, keeping a diary is not a bad habit, so let's continue like this until I get bored. I leisurely carry out my thoughts and write my diary in a leisurely manner. That takes about an hour, and then my hands get tired again. Let's go to sleep again. I go to bed again. I think I'm being lazy, but it's better than resuming drinking and smoking. Section. I wake up and look at my phone. It's 19 o'clock already. I shake my head, which is throbbing a little from too much sleep. There is still no sign of anyone in the house. Konata is a bit late, isn't she? Maybe she has club activities or something. That would make her come back late, right? Oh yeah. How about I text her using my phone? So I start flicking my fingers on my phone. But then, I realize I don't know anything about her, her home address, phone number, email address, or even the name of her social networking account. In other words, I have no way to contact her. I know the name of the school and I can easily find the address if I look it up, but it's an Ojusama school, right? There's no way an adult male, who's not a relative, can visit a place like that. If I do that, it'll be a full-blown affair. There will probably be security guards, and if there is a commotion, it will cause extra trouble for us. Well, she's probably back at her parents' house. Konata knows my social networking account and I've published my email address for job applications on social networking sites, so if anything happens to her, I'm sure she'll contact either one of them. Konata checks my social networking accounts so much that she remembers my birthday, that's for sure. Yeah. I worry too much. I'm sure she'll be back tomorrow. I think optimistically. It's been a long time since I did the housework myself. I thought to myself as I set the rice in the rice cooker. I've been living a very indulgent life these days. I need to regain a little independence. I make stir-fried vegetables with leftovers from the fridge, but it doesn't taste very good. Apparently, she is already ahead of me in terms of cooking skills. I wash the dishes, take a bath and sort out the emails that have accumulated. I wait for her, occasionally glancing at SNS, but there is no contact. In the end, I am staying up until around the time the date changes, but Konata never opens the front door. Is everything all right? With a touch of anxiety, I get into my futon. I can't sleep, so I go to the toilet, drink some milk, do some light stretching, try this and that, and finally let go of my consciousness when it is around the time of the ox. 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. Confinement, day 28. I woke up. I raise my body and look around the room. Konata hasn't come home yet. There is no sign of her. I do my business in the bathroom and wash my hands. Even though I know it's pointless, I open the bathroom door to check inside and peek out through the front door scope. However, even if I try to take such a comforting action, of course the current situation will not change. I cook some white rice. I finish my breakfast with an egg on rice. I put the teacups and bowls in the sink and let the water out of the tap. I pick up a sponge and wipe away the yolk residue. Pican. Electronic sounds reach my ears, mixed with the regular echoes of running water. Incoming call. Is it from Konata direct message? I turn off the tap and throw out the sponge. Wiping my hands roughly with my clothes, I open the door to my room and grab my phone as if to snatch it. No. Texting. I shrug at the texting app icon at the top of the phone screen. However, as soon as I swipe down the icon and see the subject line displayed, I immediately straighten my back. Regarding the storyboard of the new work, Nikaido Hinata. You got back to me sooner than I expected. Usually it takes 3 days at the earliest. The sender's storyboard attached to the side of the tasteless title is that of a familiar editor. It is the second person I'd expected to hear from. I sit cross-legged on the floor, unlock the pattern lock on my phone and tap the subject line. Instantly, the text of the email fills the screen. I close my eyes, take a deep breath and open them again. Thank you very much for your continued support. I am Haruka Tanaka from Rare Comics. I read your storyboard. I didn't expect you to come up with a gag manga. To be honest, I was surprised. As for myself, I was hoping for a romantic comedy, but, well, that's okay. Our company's creed is, anything goes as long as it's funny. Now, let me quickly conclude by saying that I think it would be very difficult to give this storyboard to the conference as it is. The reason is that, frankly speaking, it isn't funny. Of course, as the sense of laughter is different for each person, I thought that I should not judge it based on my own personal opinion, so I asked other editors to read it, but they had almost the same opinion. For a comic that deals with undertones, it doesn't lose its shame, does it? If it is a gag comic, I think it would be tough to handle it commercially unless it has reached a level where the shame is sublimated. In the words of another editor, it's as slippery as watching a junior high school student calling out a series of newly learnt undertones. In addition, recent gag mangas are less likely to be developed from the first-person perspective of a strong protagonist, and are more likely to be told from the bird's-eye viewpoint of 3 or so characters, each with their own personality, which is commercially demanding in terms of contemporariness. And although I felt the passion in the main character's formulation, perhaps in a way that sensei does not intend, it seems that the character has become snarky and difficult to empathize with. The lyrical and emotional dialogue spun by her characters fit well with the world of battle manga and fantasy manga, but I don't think it is a good match for gag manga. I have written some pretty harsh things above, but the storyboard I received at the previous meeting with sensei had no plot at all, so compared to that time, it has improved. I understand the feeling of wanting to draw a bizarre story when you can't get your new work through. However, I believe that the charm of sensei's manga lies in your honesty and dedication to pursuing delicate emotions. I myself want to see the high road, not the evil road of sensei. So please sit back and look for your strengths again. It does not have to be a romantic comedy. I am looking forward to seeing a new storyboard that shows off your personality to the fullest. We look forward to working with you. I slid the phone to the floor as if to throw it away. The second half of the text message was so tear-stained I couldn't read it properly. But I do know this much. Ha ha ha, another rejection. A strange laugh escapes. A rotten voice, as if concentrated with self-mockery, frustration, and inadequacy. Is it all my self-satisfaction? I wonder if it is. I suppose it is. The editor's point is long-winded, but the gist of it is that the work I put out is full of pretentious descriptions, too self-indulgent and lacking in objectivity. That may be so. The storyboard this time was a work I drew on the spur of the moment, with no commercial considerations. Of course, I didn't have much expectation that the storyboard would be accepted in one shot. To be honest, I didn't think it would be so badly criticized. I thought I had created the best storyboard I could. But if you think about it, it's a foregone conclusion. If my taste was right to begin with, I wouldn't have had my storyboard dropped so many times. Konata praised me, but on second thought, she's not really a professional editor or anything. Her opinion is only the opinion of one reader. What's more, she's my fan. Naturally, she would have been lenient in her evaluation. It was foolish of me to take it seriously. I should have thought about it more. I'm kind of tired all over again. Lying down on my stomach and burying my face. I don't feel like doing anything. Somewhere, a quick-witted grasshopper warbler is singing. It's just like me, I thought. Gotcha gotcha gotcha. At the worst possible moment, a sound comes from the front door. I raise my upper body. I wipe my face with my shirt and turn towards the doorway. My failure is my failure. It's not Konata's fault. I am honestly happy that she is able to go back to school. I can't let my personal circumstances put a damper on that celebration. Welcome back. Smile and try to say it cheerfully. I'm back. Konata puts her bag down in the corridor near the front door. You're late. Sorry. She takes off her loafer and comes up to the room, walks up to me and bows deeply. No, you don't have to apologize so much. That's just, it's been a long time since you've been to school and there must be a lot going on. I say with a goofy smile. My own words are devoid of emotion. I couldn't go to school. When she says this, Konata slumps to the floor with her eyes tightly shut. Ha! But I went to school. I really did. But at the school gate, a classmate who I knew spoke to me and I couldn't reply well, so I got stuck. The chime rang and then I got really scared and ran away. I couldn't come home yesterday because I felt so ashamed and sorry, even though you were cheering me up. A tearful, heartfelt confession. I see, then, it's mutual, isn't it? I murmur. It isn't as positive as the face value of the words would guarantee. Rather, it is a viscous slush, with dark nuances of joy. Ha! The storyboard, it didn't work. I say matter-of-factly. That can't be. It was so interesting. I can't accept her words honestly at the moment. I am even feeling rather annoyed. No, it wasn't interesting. That's why it was rejected. I was beaten to a pulp. I'm sorry. Konata has helped me so much. I bow my head. I'm sincerely pathetic. This is what I'm capable of now. It's not about me. I'm not at all. Konata mutters in a muffled voice. An awkward silence dominates the room. What was the point? When the cicada's sound died down, I blurt out. Ha! Konata couldn't go to school and my storyboard was rejected. Then I wonder if our month-long confinement meant anything. It's just empty and vain. If I had failed, but Konata had been able to attend school, there would still have been salvation. But if we both fail like this encounter is pointless. This is nothing more than a licking of wounds between two losers. There is no productivity, no future. Hey. Konata reaches out to say something. Sorry. I just need a moment alone. I turn my back on her. A moment later, her expression burns into my retinas. Her frightened eyes, her trembling lips. She definitely has a hurt look on her face. But even when I find out, I can't say a single follow-up word to her. Right now it is all I can do to keep my negative emotions in check. My footsteps move away. The sound of a door closing. I haven't had dinner, I haven't taken a bath, I just pull the futon over me. It is as if I am reverted to the person I was before I met her. That's how I felt. Confinement, day 29. When I wake up in the morning, Konata is gone. Where did she go? For a moment, I glanced around to find her and shook my head. Did she go back to her parents' house? I've rejected her, haven't I? Intense regret washes over me. I go to the kitchen and wash my face. The toothbrush she used is missing. There is no cup either. Did she take her personal belongings home too? Turning on the tap, I fetch water with both hands and drink it. I can't help it because I don't have the cup I usually use. In addition, the sleeping bag, the silver tray, the expensive-looking dishes and, finally, even the rubbish, all traces of her presence have disappeared from the house. However, it is only her personal belongings that are missing. My futon in a corner of the room, my laptop, bank book and other valuables are left untouched. That's thorough. In the first place, did a high school girl confine me really? Or is it just my delusional existence? When it disappears so cleanly, such doubts arise. How rude of me to doubt her existence, no matter how depressed I am. I wave my hands, splash water into my face and laugh at the silly ideas. I turn my feet to the front door to go to the convenience store to get some breakfast. As I sit down in the hallway and put my foot into my left shoe, I realize. No. Can I really laugh it off? If I think about it calmly, it's not impossible, is it? Or rather, there are many events that make more sense if I think of this as my fantasy. A JK fan who just happens to show up where I've fallen ill, nursing me and supporting my creative work. Does such a convenient existence actually exist? Wouldn't it be more natural to think of it as a delusion? But if it's a delusion, there's no need to threaten me with a knife or lock me up, is there? It could more conveniently be a cat-eared maid serving me, couldn't it? I stare at the inorganic concrete of the entrance and think. Perhaps it reflects my abnormal mental state. A month ago, I was pretty out of my mind. I was aware of it and my editor pointed it out to me softly. My desperate state of mind, which prevented me from drawing manga, might be materialized in the form of threats with a knife and confinement in chains. It makes sense if I think about it that way. No, the washing machine and the fridge, they are still here. I put my shoes in the doorway and go back to my room. I open the door of the fridge to check the inside. There's hardly any food in there anymore. But the billing address is my account. Konata said ours, but at least it's in my name. In other words, there is no objective evidence to show that I didn't order the appliances myself. If she was a shop assistant at the shop where she bought the clothes, I might remember her face. But I don't know which shop she went to. All other online retailers are placed and distributed. I don't know anyone who can testify to this, Konata, existence other than myself. I've never even seen her interacting with anyone other than me. What if I contact the school? But there's no way they'd tell a complete stranger about the students they have enrolled. Am I out of my mind? I clench my fists and bang them on the closed fridge door. It hurts. Unquestionably, this is reality. If Konata is my delusional character, what she told me was actually my compliment to my own storyboard, wasn't it? It was all self-praise. No wonder the editors are so critical. I go back to my room and open the drawing tablet. On reviewing it again, it is badly done. It's all my own work, and of course it's a self-righteous storyboard. A hypothesis that I really don't want to come up with. But now that I've come up with it, I can't pretend it didn't happen. All the circumstantial evidence supports the non-existence of this person. If indeed Konata is my imagination, I wonder if I'll never see her again. The worst imaginations are now haunting me. My heart is going cold, as if it had been doused with ice water. It's possible that I won't see her. No, I don't want to. I absolutely hate the idea of me not being able to see her anymore. Even if she is an illusion of my own creation, I want to see her. Why do I want to see her? Why do I want to cling to her? Do I want to thank her? Or do I want to apologize? No, it's different. If I wanted to thank her for helping me with my creative work, I would have told her many times. If I wanted to apologize, I shouldn't have been so unfaithful and rotten from the beginning. I see. Before I knew it, this thing was growing inside me. I've realized. That's how I honestly feel now. I just want to tell her how I feel. Bururururu. My phone beeps in response to my shaking body. A DM through SNS. Open. The sender's account name is blank. The text is only 2 words. Late. Attached is a single selfie. It must have been taken in a hurry. The face is only visible from the mask down and the picture is a little blurry. But there is no way I could have mistaken her for anyone. Konata. She wasn't my imagination. My heart is filled with relief. Ha 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 ha. Konata, you did it. You went to school. I smile and look up at the ceiling. I'm really happy. Perhaps, I feel even more elated than I did when I won my first serialization. That's right. Reply. Quickly. I need to tell her how I feel. I impatiently swipe repeatedly to string together faltering sentences. Just before I tap send, I stop my index finger a millimeter before the screen. Is this really what I want to do? Is this really okay? I'm sure she went to school with a lot of courage. And I'm just going to get away with one tap like this. No, that's not the best I can do. I'm not a poet, I'm not a novelist. I'm a mangaka. If I want to tell her, the only way is through manga. That's the best sincerity I can show her. And now, the story I should draw. The story of a manga artist who was locked up by a high school girl. This is all I have. I don't need a storyboard. There is no need to come up with new ideas. The memories are all stuck in my head. I have to draw a full, honest picture of what I couldn't say, what I wanted to say and what I should have said. This is just a short manga. And it's a silly young man's argument. Oh, I think Konata did mention her permission. If you like, you can use me in your manga. I remember what she said that day. I laughed it off at the time, though. Honestly, I should have done exactly as she told me. Chuckling, I put down my phone. With the drawing tablet, I start a new blank page. There's nothing else for me to draw on. But that's okay. At the end of opening Pandora's box, there is still hope. Confinement, day 30. I did not sleep a wink yesterday. And I don't intend to sleep today. I am not threatened by a knife nor am I chained up. Yet, I dare to face the drawing tablet in a room with the shutters closed. To prove that my confinement with Konata is not meaningless, I confine myself. I didn't even have time to make breakfast, so I poured a raw egg into my stomach along with water. It is as if my brain and the pen tip have become one. My body is no longer merely a tool to embody an image. It is not hard and painful. It's not even fun. When you are really passionate about something, you forget everything. Draw. Now I can proudly say, I am a mangaka. Even if the world forgets me, even if editors don't recognize me, but I am still a mangaka. I'm a mangaka only for Konata. Confinement, day XX. How many days have passed? I just keep on drawing manga. Fatigue and sleep deprivation plague me and my consciousness becomes dazed and foggy. Correspondingly, the story unfolding in 2 dimensions reaches its climax and intersects with reality. Eventually, my now and the now on paper are completely linked. There is no convenient happy ending. No dramatic bad ending is provided. It doesn't work as a punchline, it's just a throwaway. If this manga were submitted for the Newcomers Award, it would definitely be unsuccessful. The story ends with a miserable, effeminate monologue by the protagonist. If you allow me, I would like to see you again, Konata. I put down my pen with unsettled feelings. It's done. Konata. This is my manga. I send the manga I drew to the only significant person to her account via DM. I don't know if Konata will read this. I don't know if she'll read it and come back. Still, my heart is filled with a mysterious sense of fulfillment. I did what I had to do. The rest is up to you, Konata. If this doesn't convey my feelings, then there's nothing I can do about it. I guess that's all I am after all, a mangaka of that level. I feel weak. Soon, an intense dullness hits my body, as if the Earth's gravity has increased. I lay down on the messily spread futon as if I was collapsing. Confinement, day AZ date. When I wake up, I see a beautiful girl's face at a distance where our noses are almost attached. Coco Konata. Go, good morning. I feel a soft touch on the back of my head. The moment I realize that I am on her knees, my body stiffens. Kusu, it's night already. Konata pats me on the head and lets out a sneer. Oh, yeah. Well, good evening. I rephrase. I'm not sure how many days of all-nighters I did for this to happen. Good evening. She returns the greeting with a smile. Anyway, I'm so glad you're back. I breathe a sigh of relief. Thanks. I mean, personally, I didn't mean to leave in the first place. She says awkwardly and brushes his hair up. But all of your personal stuff was missing. Oh, that. It was an emergency when you collapsed and I got stuff from my parents' house, but on second thought, I felt sick, so I put it all back where it belonged. Feeling sick? Yup. If I bring things from my parents' house, I won't feel comfortable because it feels like I'm borrowing my parents' stuff. Only our common property is allowed in this house. Konata puts her hands together and says with the expression of a dreaming maiden, I see. So that's how it is. Whether or not I agree with her logic, I understand why she took her personal belongings away. Yes. But as it turns out, I'm glad you got the wrong idea. Because it gave me such a nice present. Saying this, she smiles mischievously. Yeah. If you say so, then you read my manga, right? I say with my eyes swimming a little. I didn't mind it when I was drawing, but when I got some sleep and cooled down, I suddenly felt embarrassed. If I think about it, the act I did was, so to speak, like a musician giving away a song of his own composition on his birthday, an act of intense pain. Of course, I don't regret it at all, but embarrassing things are still embarrassing. I read it. She closes her eyes and nods deeply. I see. So, what did you think? I'm delighted. Konata mutters with an ecstatic look on her face. Haha, it was interesting, wasn't it? Because it's just me and you, day in, day out. If I said it was interesting as a story, let alone for anyone else, I would be lying. She makes a puzzled face and bears it. Certainly, that's true. I nod in agreement. But I'm glad to know how you feel. Oh, yeah. I'm glad I am able to tell you how I feel too. It's a bit embarrassing, though. Indeed it is. I also found out that you were looking at me with naughty eyes. I cover my face with my hands. If there was a hole, I'd want to get in it. At the very least, I should have confessed about it at least once. I portrayed it too honestly. I don't mind. What? Even if you look at me sexually. Saying this, she shifts my hands to the side. Her eyes are glowing bewitchingly. Are you sure? Of course, but I want more than that. That's a crime. It's not a crime if they don't know. She stares at me and brings her face close. I close my eyes. Bururu. A moment later, my phone in my pocket goes off. Please read the air. Bururu. At first I tried to ignore it, but the phone keeps shaking insistently. You should answer it. Ooh. Right. I raise my upper body and take out my phone. From Nikaido-san? What does she want? Sensei. Congratulations. You've been selected for publication in our magazine as a readout. Ha! What do you mean? I am taken aback by the sudden words of congratulations from my editor. Stop pretending to not know. The storyboard, I read it. The story of a manga artist who was imprisoned by a strange high school girl. This is it. This is what I've been looking for. It was a great piece of work and it really showed off your talent. There was just the right balance between the reality of a manga artist who can't get his work published and the fantasy of a young high school girl who takes care of him while he's locked up. And since romantic comedies are a hot seller at the moment, it's easy for us to promote it. The editor in charge of the project is excitedly ranting about the storyboard. The salty response I've received so far seems to be a lie. The editor in charge is a person who responds in a blatantly honest way when it comes to manga, so she must have thought this was really interesting. Or rather, it's not a fantasy. That high school girl is right in front of me right now. Thank you. However, I don't want to be reported for divulging the truth to the editor, so I just nod appropriately to fit the story. Good. So, for the time being, we're going to try a short story to see how it goes, but if the readers respond well, I'd like you to make it a serial. Is that okay with you? Yes. I look forward to working with you. I nod vigorously. There is no reason to refuse. Excellent. Now, if you'll excuse me, the meeting is resuming. I'll email you later with the details. Yes. Thank you. I bow my head over the phone and hang up. That's funny. Did I just absent-mindedly send the storyboard to the editor as well? I put the phone away in my pocket and tilt my head back. Oh, that. I sent it to the editor on your behalf. It's a loss to humanity to keep such a great manga to myself. Konata says as a matter of course. Haha, you're exaggerating. But this is. Thank you. I bow deeply. What I wanted so badly, thanks to a lucky goddess, fell into my lap so easily that it is almost anticlimactic. No big deal. A fan should at least do that. Konata proudly beams. Konata has come back to me, and as a mangaka, I have seen the light. Can I ever be this happy? It is too convenient a turn of events to be counterintuitive. Wait. Come to think of it, how did Konata get my editor's address? The editor in charge is not supposed to be on a social networking site, and it seems strange that she would contact me if you were the sender in the first place. I fold my arms and ponder. The editor's email address can be found in your email. It's only natural that they contacted you because I sent it to them from your email address. Perhaps you're still sleepwalking? She says teasingly. I see. You sent it from my email address? Then it's only natural that they called me. I laugh as what Konata said was indeed true, and then I just agree with her. I turn a straight face. No, it's still strange now that I think about it. How did Konata get into my account? As you may know, I don't use my birthday as the password for my email account. The email address itself is published on my social networking profile, along with the words I am looking for work. So it's only natural that Konata knows it. But the passwords for my email accounts are automatically generated by Google. I'm basically a lazy person, so I usually just save the random passwords that Google recommends to me in my browser and use them. If it's just a 4-digit birthday number, it's too insecure as a password and they won't even let me register. She could probably still send emails from my laptop via a browser. But when she left, Konata made sure to leave my personal belongings in my room. I had quite a hard time. You are a serious person. You don't walk around and you don't mess around with your phone outside. You're basically an indoor person. You only go outside when you're shopping in the first place. I nod to Konata's words. Yes, I am. I'm a hermit to the core. I set the tone appropriately to get her to speak. But only on the 28th of every month you go out. You love to get the fried chicken from that chain restaurant. Only on the 28th do you eat out at the restaurant. So I had the opportunity to play with your phone at that time, and I managed to break the pattern lock by filming and analyzing your finger movements. But that is useless if you don't touch your phone, which is also crucial. So when you dropped your phone in the bookshop, I knew it was fate. In an euphoric tone of voice, Konata speaks fast and rambles on. There was a time lag of 12 minutes between me dropping my phone and her delivering it to me. But it's funny when I think about it. She was standing in line behind me. I just assumed that she was in a hurry to come after me, but if she was in line behind me, It would be more natural for her to notice immediately when I dropped my phone, pick it up and return it to me on the spot. I mean, that's when Konata hacked my phone and reset my password. And I, using autosave, don't even know about it. Passwords that appeared hidden on screen, such as. In other words, if the password has the same number of digits and the security settings, such as warnings for logging in from another device have been removed, and all the reset notification emails have been deleted, there is no way for me to know that I have been hacked. Of course, if I had checked my login records frequently, I might have known. But in a situation where there was no financial damage, there was no way I would have checked every single one of those things. I'm so careless that I set my bank PIN to my birthday. Yes. Thanks to you, I've been able to get closer to your heart. Following your social networking sites only gives me a front face of you. Understanding your creative pain and your despair and being there for you, that's a real fan, Konata declares, in a tone devoid of any trace of guilt. I'm glad you're thinking of me that much. I mutter, pushing the shame inwardly. I raise the corners of my mouth as hard as I could to hide my twitching cheeks. Wait a minute. This is going to change the story. Could it be that this is not a clumsy neighborhood fan who happened to find me and rehabilitate me, but an overzealous stalker who was looking for an opportunity to lock me up at the first opportunity? Chills run down my spine. I get goosebumps all over my body. Surely this is not a symptom of a disease. I mean, I sent a stalker a manga that was practically a confession. So, is that it? I can't swallow my spit. Water that has been spit out cannot be swallowed. I can't pretend that the manga I drew on my own will never happen. My emotions are all messed up. It is thanks to Konata that I am back on my feet. That's true and I'm grateful for that. She is kind, clumsy, hardworking and I find her attractive. This feeling is not a lie. But as much as I'm attracted to her, I'm scared of her now. Oh, that's right. I have to heat up some rice. You haven't eaten properly the last few days, have you? You have to take care of yourself. Your body is your capital. Konata puts her lips to my ear and whispers. Oh, yes, that's true. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to keep up with the rhythm of life on my own. My reply is filled with an absent-minded interjection. Foo, that's not good. But don't worry. I'm here for you. Saying this, she picks it up from the floor, a proof of the bond between us. The choker is once again tied around my neck, just as I had hoped. Is that smile an angel or a devil? I can't decide right now. What will happen to me from now on? With these feelings hanging in the air, I look over at her back as she heads for the kitchen. The story of a manga artist who was imprisoned by a strange high school girl. Its genre is still undecided. End of Volume 1.